deserve this. I never did anything in my life to hurt anybody. The man asked me for my number. I know he picked up a brick in front of so many men and was like, what you gonna do? And I told all these men, like, yo, why this man got a brick on my face? And he's holding a brick. And all these niggas is watching. And nobody does nothing. And he hits me in my face and then they all just watching. And they let that nigga get in a car. How is this okay? This is what I'm doing to women? What have I ever done to anybody in my life?
Oh, baby, it's a madness out here. Listen, hey guys, welcome to Little Blackbird 91. Before I give you guys a quick live, whenever I say quick, it doesn't end quick. I thought I'd give you guys a live talking about this particular situation. It's been crazy, it's been mad. And there's many different thought processes on this as well. There are many different thought processes that people have, and I thought we should discuss it, right? And I know some people have different viewpoints. It's been debated on the internet for quite a bit of time as well. And there's a lot that's been happening around this particular subject, right? First and foremost, I want to say this. Look, there's literally no reason why a brick is being used to hit somebody in the face. Like as a man to a woman, straight up, I cannot make concessions for using a brick to brick somebody. Okay? All right? I cannot. So for me personally, that's a dead point already. Like that's nonsense already, straight right there, right? There's no way we can excuse a grown-ass man taking a brick up and smashing somebody in the face. And let's use the right adjectives because he smashed her in the face with a brick. It's not like he hit her, he smashed her with it, right? And walked off or whatever and didn't look back. So for me personally, when I look at the situation, and then I've been seeing what's been going on the internet. FBA got involved. We've got black men being involved. We've got black women screaming too and being involved. There's so many different opinions. Things happening. And I think there's a lot to talk about today, right? I will give you guys a link because I'm sure some people have their opinions, they have their thoughts. I'm sure they would love to say their piece as well. So I'm going to put a link in the chat during the conversation. I'm gonna make it by the end of the hour. I'm done. So no more than an hour. I'm trying to be restricted in my movements these days. But let's have a conversation. If you're new to the channel, do me a massive favor, like it, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of the uploads as well. We're going to get deep into some conversation today. Look, if you don't know already, we're trying to get to 100K subs. There's a lot of great things happening behind the scenes. We're going to get there by the end of the year. By the grace of God, we are. And so I want you guys to do me a favor. I want you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get deep in some conversation. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Stay hydrated because the streets out there are hot. Let's get into this conversation. Before I go any further, there was another video that I wanted to bring into play. Because this was a man saying that there was more to the story than what happened, right? So this is what's been causing a lot of issues as well. So this is another conversation that happened.
She did get hit by a brick. Yes, I saw it. Yes, I was standing by doing nothing. And if that shit happened again in the same circumstances, I will watch. Because she's not as innocent as she portrays herself to be. She was taunting the guy. She was calling him all type of names. She was degrading him to a point where he resulted in picking up a brick and hitting him. I don't condone that type of behavior, but once again, she's not as innocent as she portrays herself to be. I literally, I remember a while back, she's posting videos going around in public, literally smacking old white people in the face. For what? And now you get hit by a brick, and now you want to cry wolf? And I don't care. You wanted trouble, you got trouble. That's why I'll still buy and watch. So don't, oh man, that whole situation got me upset.
Oh my days. Okay. So Crazy, crazy situation. Let's have a conversation why men will stand aside. Let's have a real conversation why men will stand aside. And I'm going to keep it all the way real. I want to say this first and foremost. Men are scary. Okay? Men are scary. As simple as that. Okay? I want to make it very, very clear. Men are scary. Not just to women, but to men as well. Okay? I wanna make it very, very clear because I feel like sometimes this conversation goes left real quick because the whole conversation becomes about why men are scared of other men. Do you know why? Because we can lose our life. I want to be very real with you. Okay, I'm going to make it very, very clear. Other men are scared of other men because you can lose your life. Not just because men are reactive, but because men tend to kill, right? And have the power to do so. So I'm not going to say that, that isn't a plausible aspect as to why some men will not jump in. Some men will not jump in because they are afraid of losing their life. It's that simple. You know what I mean? Right? Some men will not jump in and save even another man, let alone another woman, because they're afraid of their life being taken themselves. Not every man has courage to jump into these situations. As much as people want to say it and say, oh my God, like, this guy should get in, I'm going to be very real with you. Not every man has those kahunas and has the bravery to do those things. Right? They don't always. Okay? They don't always do that. Not every man is willing to do that. Not every man is willing to lay their life down on the line for someone they don't know, let alone even someone they even know. Some people won't even do it for the people they don't even know. Some people will not even lay their life down for people they even know. So I want to be very clear and say, hey, let me be very clear with you. Some men will not jump in because they're afraid, just like the women are, because they've already calculated that this will not end well for them. Okay, that's the first and foremost. Second thing is, it takes a level of courage and a selflessness that you don't mind dying. I want to be very, very clear. Now, I'm sure I know a lot of women will say, I will jump in, I will jump in. I've seen situations where a lot of women don't jump in. So I don't want to hear that. There are both men and women who will not jump into situations. The clear indication is this: are you willing to lose your life? Because if you are, you will jump in. Some people don't think about their life because they're willing to sacrifice it. You have to be in that position, right? You have to honor the thing, something being right and being integrous and being principled above your own life. That's why the Bible says that those who love their life will end up losing it. It's like if you hold on to your life, you end up losing it. The reality of the situation is you have to be ready, man or woman, but we're specifically talking about men, okay? Talking about the men, okay? You have to be ready to lose your life. It's that simple. Every time you intercede, you have to be ready to lose your life. Let me give an example, and let me be fair. I want to be as balanced as possible today, because I've seen some bullshit before. Okay, I'm gonna give you a couple of stories. Here's a story. I was about 12, and I got into an altercation with a young man. Okay, I got into an altercation with a young man, right? Same age as me, right? And he followed me into my building where I lived. And as we're exiting on the floor that I live on, the flat that I was living in, a high rise, the boy punched me in the eye and ran off. And they had already stolen my football, and then now they punched me in the eye, right? Now I wasn't gonna make a big deal of it. I was gonna go upstairs and let it go. Okay, I was gonna go upstairs, get into the house, and let it go. But when I got in, I didn't realize my eye has swollen, so it's obvious. When I got in there, my dad asked me, "What's wrong?" I said, "I got punched in the eye." So he now comes downstairs. He now comes with me to go downstairs to confront this kid. I'm like, hey, Dad, leave it alone, leave it alone, leave it alone. Now, let me tell you something. We get down to the ground from our flat. I was on flat 16. We get down to the ground and we go to confront the kid, right? Okay. All right. We go to confront the kid. Not only is the kid there, their whole gang is there, blood. And I'm not talking about 1 man, 2 man, 10 man. I'm talking 15 to 20 man. And this one kid who's about 6 foot something, definitely taller than my dad. I remember he was a friend. He was a friend of the guy, the boy that punched me. He was a friend. He was a brother's friend that punched me. Right? I hope that makes sense. If not, the way I'll explain it later. He steps up and he's got a scooter in his hand, right? Like a push scooter, right? He steps up and he's like, "What do you want?" To my dad. And I'm like, "Dad, let's just leave this alone. Let's go." Because there's no need. Like, he punched me in the eye. It is what it is. I can handle, like, I'm not going to fight him, but I don't need to make this, you know what I mean? Right? You know what I mean? So it's not my thing, right? So now, my dad's like, "Nah, we out here." I'm like, "Yo, Donnie, come on now." Now, in that moment, I'm like, "Dad, I need you to leave this alone because there's no need." Now, I remember this very strong declaration my dad made. Yeah. He said, "Listen, if you swing that scooter on me, you'll die." I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's 20 man. There's one of you, and it was me and my little bro. We are not doing anything, bro. We're not doing anything. There's 20 man. They can stomp us out real quick. I want you to understand the mindset of something, because we're talking about the situation, and sometimes it becomes very abstract because many of us are like, I would do that idealistically, but many of you wouldn't. It depends on the situation, the context of the situation. So now the guy swings, he misses, my dad ducks it, the guy ducks it or whatever, and boom, the police end up coming, right? Because they're seeing this altercation. Police end up coming, so nothing ever happens, right? Yeah. So what happens immediately? So immediately what's happened in this situation is, after we get back up, after we finish that situation, I'm like, raw, that's mad, bro. That's crazy that my dad would do that, right? Right? That's my first witnessing of somebody taking on odds that's against them. You get what I'm saying to you, right? So it's now a situation where you're like, whoa, it's different. Okay. Now, why did I give this story? I gave this story because what I realized was that because of the context, that's why. Like the same way that I've jumped in to save my brother, or I've jumped in to save a friend. When you have stakes invested in something, it's much easier to leave forget about your life and jump in. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? There's been situations with my boy where we've gone to a club, and as soon as I tend to stop fights before it gets to that stage. You know what I mean? I don't like getting into fights. I really am not about it. Please, these muscles are not for fighting. They're for the museum pieces. They're to be seen, not to be used. You understand what I'm saying to you? Yeah. So when I see that stuff coming, I usually get involved with my boys and stop it before it gets to that stage. So hence why I've never had a fight in a club. I've never been out in a club in all my years and got into a fight, because as soon as I see something happening, I stamp it out quick. Hey, like, bro, get back, bro. We're not about to start doing that. Now, when you don't know the person, it's a complete different situation. So here's my thing. Whenever I am, and this is me now, this is me just telling you a true situation. True situation. So it's just say you're a weak dude, low, not cute. Well, that's the reason why the guys didn't jump in. You just proved the point. That's what I'm trying to say to you. If somebody doesn't feel like they're strong enough to be able to jump in, they're not going to do it. And you just made a great point. Why would I jump in for you? Since you're insulting me and making it a joke about my story, where I got punched in the eye, I didn't do anything because I got punched, because he literally, the elevator opened, he punched me in the eye and ran off. Since that happened, I didn't get a chance to fight back, right? But you went in to make it into a joke straight away. It's exactly why people don't jump into situations. Because why would I lose my life for you when you're making a mockery of me? Why would I want to lose my life? Think about what you're saying. Some people don't want to lose their life for some bull crap like you're putting up right now. That's the bull crap we're talking about. Why would I want to do that? Why would I do that? You've made me into a joke instantly, right? So I'm saying that, like, certain situations you have to be aware, right? I personally don't really care. Personally, like, do you know what I mean? I'm not a fighting kind of person, but I will defend my people if I need to defend. It's a last resort. I don't like doing fights, but I will definitely defend my people. You know what I mean? So here we go. So back to the second story, right? Here's my second story. I've been out and about and, with women or whatever, right? And this has happened to me on several occasions, right? So I know exactly what happens when it comes to men. Okay. I know exactly what happens to men. Okay. I was at Carnival a couple of years ago. I was at Carnival. Okay. A couple of years ago, I was at Carnival. Ultimately, you don't even know what you're saying. If the person punches you, if you're in an elevator and the elevator opens and they punch you in the eye before you can do anything and they run off, what did you want me to do? Oh, you want me to go and chase him and start fighting him? I don't do that kind of things. It's not I don't need to do that kind of thing. Why do I need to do that? I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. You know what I mean? That's not how you win. That's not how you win in a situation. You have to also understand as well that I already know where he comes from. I know that if I fight him, it doesn't stop there. I know that if I fight him, they normally bring their brothers in. You don't, in the ends, things don't end in the same way. So you have to understand how the ends work. When you're in the hood and in the ends, it's not even about age anymore. It's about where it goes to. See, when we're fighting, you think it's a one-on-one fight. At this point, one-on-one fights don't exist anymore. You know what I'm saying to you, right? I witnessed things in the ends, in the area, in the hood, and I'm like, it doesn't even end on one-on-one. You start fighting one man, and then it ends them with he loses, he grabs a brother. His brother goes, and I'm already thinking this is not going to end well, which is why I didn't want my dad to go down. That, you know what I mean? That's why I didn't want my dad to go down, because I was like, it's stupid. Leave it alone. He punched me in the eye. I'm over it. I'll be there tomorrow to play football again. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Like, I'm gonna go there again. I'm gonna see him again the next day. No biggie. You know what I mean? Like, there's no biggie about the situation, because I'm gonna play football with him again tomorrow. And whatever he does. I'll be there in his face again. You know what I mean? Score a couple goals on him, embarrass him that way. I don't need to fight. It's not my MO, right? But back to my story. And my final point is this: when you understand that you don't, I was in the hood, but I was not from the hood. I don't have extensive family in the hood. In the hood, certain families have extended family, which is why I didn't want to fight the guy, because as soon as you fight him, you actually end up fighting his whole family. It's just dumb. It's stupid. When you realize how quickly things become not about you and that person anymore, you don't have interest in fighting. That's why I didn't want to fight. I've seen too many fights where it starts one-on-one, then his brother gets involved. Now his brother gets involved, his cousin's involved. Now your cousin's involved. It's just dumb. And I had cousins that were in gangs and stuff, and I was like, that's how gets messy. And then somebody dies. Nope, it will not be me. 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 Okay, it will not be me. Ultimate Enigma, you are proving the point that I'm talking about. You're proving the point that you're talking about. You don't live by the same code and ethics and the rules, and that's why you don't understand what you're saying, right? There are certain fights you don't need to fight because it goes on bigger than you. Do you get what I'm saying to you? I don't have. If I came from that world, I would understand what you're saying. I didn't come from that world. I got thrusted into a world where that wasn't for me. I'm not that kind of person. I'm about my books. I'm about education. I'm about going to school. I wasn't in that same world as them. I just lived in the same area. So when you realize that people have family, it doesn't stop with you. Do you get what I'm saying to you? We have an immediate family, which is my mom, my dad, my brother, and me. These people have more family. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So it doesn't stop there. So when you know, and I went to school, so I know, like, obviously when you go to a black school and everything, is you see it. It doesn't end there. Today you won the fight, tomorrow they're setting you up. It's dumb. That's why I was like, let it go. I was like, telling my dad, let it go, because honestly, playing football and stuff, right? You're gonna see those people again. You're playing football. You know what I mean? You're gonna see this people play football. So it don't really matter to me. You know what I mean? I was gonna see the person again. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So I've been in situations where I was in Carnival, right? A couple of years ago, I was in Carnival. And I was with a couple of girls that I was in Carnival with, right? It's the first time it's ever happened to me. I'm in Carnival, and a guy is trying to talk to one of the girls I'm with, and the girl's telling me, I don't want to talk to him. I said, cool, okay, that's fine. I'll tell him to just go away, innit? I said to the guy, yo, bro, she don't want to talk to you, bro. She's not about that life. Yeah? I want just listen to this is the story, right? It's at Carnival a couple of years ago. So literally, literally, the guy says, bro, I don't give a fuck, bro. I want to talk to the girl. You're gonna have to deal with the thing. And I'm like, whoa. Like when people are mad, they say the wildest thing. I'm saying to him, bro, she's spoken for. You don't need to talk to her. I don't give a blood. Move. Before I knew it, there's a cigarette butt placed in my chest. He takes a cigarette out of his mouth and dabbles it into my chest. So I push him, obviously, and he pushes me. And I pull the girl away. And I'm like, yo, let's go. Let's get out of here. I don't know who's around. I don't know how many man he's got. But do you know what I'm saying to you? So it's just, I was like, that's the first instance I've seen. So you defend the girl and you can almost end up dead. Now, I knew the girl. I have no problem with that. I knew the girl. I knew who she was. She's with me. She's cool. She's not my girlfriend, but I know who she is. Right? So I'm cool. Here's a second situation that happened to me. Just last year, I went to Carnival. It seems to always be Carnival. Last year, I went to Carnival. Yeah? Went Carnival. I had no clue who this girl was. There was a girl in front of me. She had a backpack on. There was a girl in front of me. And this year, it was the year after COVID. So it was ram. And I'm talking about there was nowhere to go. It's just so packed. So now what's happened? It's so packed that everyone's kind of pushing to try and get, and it's getting scary because if you fall down, you're going to get trampled upon. That year, it was so busy. This year wasn't so crazy, but last year was so busy. It was disgusting. At one point, I don't know what I was scared for my life at one point because you're like, if you fall down, they're going to trample upon you because there's nowhere else to go, right? Apart from over your body. So now there's pushing and jostling and people are pushing. There's a girl in front of me and we finally get some clear air, right? We get some clear air and the guy pushes this girl. Okay. All right. This guy pushes the girl. So when he pushes her, she kind of goes like that. And so I'm like, she turns around and I turned to the guy. I said, yo, bro. I said, the guy push, chill. Bro, chill. Before I know it, bro, yeah, this guy has, bam, punched me in my eye. I didn't even see, because I didn't even see it coming. I wasn't even ready. I just said, chill. Before I know it, he switched, bang, straight in my eye. I looked at the situation, yeah. And again, I don't do the fighting shit because it doesn't end well, right? So I'm like, I look at him in astonishment. He's banging my eye, and I look at him, and there's a crowd of people. So now I'm pissed because there's a crowd of people, and I don't want to look weak, right? So I was about to get into a fight, and I said, chill the fuck out, blood. You don't know what no one's carrying. You don't know who he's with. You don't know what's about, right? A smart man doesn't have to always fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had fights before in school and stuff, but this is not the right time. You don't know who he's with, right? So when he banged me in the eye, because he's banged me, I've gone like this. I've gone, bro, come on. You know what I'm saying to me? He's banged me in the eye and I've gone like this. Bro, come on. What the frick, right? All because I'm trying to tell him, leave the girl alone, right? Like, why have you pushed her? Okay? Before I knew it, and I'm so glad I never got into a fight. Before I knew it, 3 or 4 guys come out. They start beating this boy up. Not because they were friends of her. Before I knew it, they start beating this guy up. Guess what happens? 3 or 4 more guys from his end come out there, start having a whole gang fight. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if they got knifed. I don't know if they died. I don't know why anything happened. As soon as I saw the guy, because my peripheral, as soon as I saw 3 guys running, I was like, we out. Why do I don't want to be mistaken identity. I don't need to be a part of this crew thing. I'm not a part of it. You bang me in my eye, I let it go. I'm going about my business. I'm not going to get involved, right? These situations escalate too quickly. You know what I mean? These situations escalate too quickly. I'm not really a punching kind of guy. I'm more of a grab you, choke you out. That's what I used to do in school. I didn't throw punches. I feel uncomfortable throwing punches. I'm more about if I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna grab you by the throat, I want to throttle you, and I'm gonna squeeze. That's how I used to fight in school. When we're fighting in school, I don't throw punches. I go for the throat, I grab you, and then I squeeze. You understand? So I got punched a few times in my lifetime. But not before I get the squeeze on. I like to choke people out. That's my fighting technique. I don't want to punch. I feel uncomfortable with throwing punches. I don't know what it was. You know what I mean? So it's not my kind of thing. For those of you who can throw punches, I'm glad you guys can do that. And I pray that you guys get the opportunity to show me your skills. But for me personally, I'm fighting. If it's the last thing I do, I'm gonna get out of there, and I fight. I live to fight another day. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm more of a sniper than I'm a frontliner. You know what I mean? So that's not my thing. But if you're a frontliner, and I appreciate the fact some of you are frontliners, you know what I'm saying? Now here's the thing. Why I'm I'm not a fighter, trust me. It's only if my life is fully threatened. I'm not about that life. I'm just not going to get involved. Now, why is it that I'm killing these stories? Let me give you one more story. I was in Ghana last year. Ghana. I was out in a club. It was NSG's club, NSG's bar that they've bought in Ghana. You know, they were NSG's bar in Ghana, right? And whilst I was there was a girl that is an influence, actually, right? And I didn't know her at the time. I've never seen it. She's a beautiful woman, and she's built. God damn it, she's built. And I remember she was there. She was in the bar, right? So I'm in the corner of my eye. I'm seeing a guy talking to her, but you know, you can kind of see. I can see like that she's a little bit uncomfortable, right? I can see she's a little bit uncomfortable. So I kind of move a little bit closer, trying to give a little eye contact, say, "You good? You okay?" Like, I want to make sure you're okay, right? Hey, this this is wild. So I can see obviously that they're talking, but she's uncomfortable. He's too close, right? He's right in her face. And then he starts grabbing her hand. Let me say, he starts grabbing her hand, right? And she's like, get off me. So when he grabs her hand, I go to step in. I said, "Yo, brethren, I think sis is a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, chill it. You know what I mean? Chill it. It's okay. Like, relax. No need, bro. Calm down. I can see the drink is a little bit, I think the drink's a little bit hype for you. Just kind of chill it a little bit. Calm down, right?" So now he's getting in my face. You understand what I'm saying to you? He's now getting into my face, cussing me, telling me, "Who am I?" And I said, "Bro, I'm not really trying to fight, and I'm not here for a fight." I said to him, "Bro, I'm chill. I'm cool. I'm not about no beef. I want to let you know, though, bro, that you've grabbed the girl by the hand and she's uncomfortable. She don't want to be involved in that situation, bro. That's what I'm saying to you, bro. You understand what I'm saying to you? That's what I'm saying to you, bro. Chill." I took a little step back and I said, "Bro, that's what I'm saying to you. Yeah, it doesn't need to turn to a fight. I'm calm." You know, when I get into that space, the phone comes out. I'm like, "Yo, bro, you got it. I'm with you, but I want to let you know that old girl here, she don't want that, bro." You know what I'm saying? So if you really want to get to know her, you want to talk to her, bro, this is not the way to go about because she's feeling uncomfortable. Yeah? So let me tell you something. So maybe I said to the girl, "You cool?" She said, "Yeah, I'm good." I'm gonna say, like, I think, and she kind of moved a little bit away, but she stood on the sofa. So she went away and stood on the sofa, right, with her girls. So now I leave it alone. I go about my business. But now I'm a bit hyper vigilant because I kind of know that us as men, I know some men, once they've got an idea in their head and there's drink in the system, they ain't gonna let it go. So I'm my head's just kind of scanning the room. Within about 5 minutes, the brother's over there again. Okay, the brother's over there. He's now moved to where she is. Right? He's now moved to where she is. Okay. I'm just gonna also Enigma. I'm just gonna block you for a little while because you're stressing me out, and I don't need the stress, bro. You're doing too much, and you're trying to be funny, and it ain't that funny. So if I block you, you know why you've been blocked. You understand? Thank you. All right. So I think what's interesting about the situation, this is a situation, right? So I see him over there, right? So I go and walk over there, right? I go and walk over there, and because obviously, again, you can see she's uncomfortable. I said to her, "Are you okay?" She said, "Yeah, I'm good. I got it. Don't worry about me." I said, "Are you sure?" She said, "No, don't worry about it. I got it." I left it within a few minutes of I'm watching. So I'll leave it now. A few minutes later, I leave it a few minutes and watch. I just observe. Do you know what happened? Number and phone. They start cracking jokes. Now, maybe she was trying to appease him. I don't know. They start laughing together, goes to the bar, gets her a drink, comes back. He's now chilling with the friends. I was like, wait, what? I said, so if I had died for this situation, you'd have. I was like, wait, what? So now I'm looking, I'm like, yo. So the very girl, so she actually, and I was just like, I was so confused by it. I was just like, yo. So if I had done anything, I could have died for nothing. You understand what I'm saying to you? Now, here's my final landing point, because I want to just bring this around just to make people understand about real life experiences. I will always jump in for a situation. If I feel like if a woman feels uncomfortable with a situation, I will always jump in. I will always jump in. I have no problem doing that. I don't mind losing my life in that sense. You know what I mean? I don't want to lose my life, but I have no problem losing my life. Right? That one I don't mind. I'm just giving a perspective that to get to that place, you also have to be ready that you are willing to lay your life down. You know what I'm saying to you? Right? You have to be ready to lay your life down. So in my head, when these situations come, I'm ready to lay my life down, because I know that other men do not think the same way. They will happily take you out. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So there are men that will jump into situations, but the reality of the situation is, right, that not all men are going to think that way, because not all men are willing to lay their life down. Not all men are willing to die for somebody else. It's another level of courageousness that is needed to do so. Do you know what I'm saying to you? That you're willing to say, I'm not going to think about me. I'm going to think about that person. And some people don't. Don't worry. She's on a time. Ultimately, was on a timeout. It's not a block. It's a timeout. They will come back. Ultimately, was doing way too much. It's too much. We're trying to discussion, and you're trying to do too much. You know what I mean? I'm willing to get involved. I don't need to fight. You know what I mean? I don't need to fight. I wouldn't necessarily fight. I don't, again, I try to avoid that situation of fight. I try to calm it down as much as possible. I'm yet to have a fight. By the grace of God, I've never needed to get into a fight, because usually when I get involved, I can calm the person down. I can get them to say, hey, bro, sit. I remember, and it's my last one, and I'll talk about this more situation. The last situation, last one was in Ghana, actually. The girls that I was out with, they called me and said there's a guy that keeps coming over to the table to try and, like, he's keeps talking to them, and they don't want to talk, and then he's drinking their drinks too, and he's trying to do too much, basically, yeah. And they've told him to go away. He won't do it. At this time, I was a little bit away because I was doing my own thing, you know, talking to somebody else. So my friend called me and said, hey, can you come and deal with the situation? I said, sure, yeah, I'll come over there. Get over there. He's taller than me, but he's not that big or whatever. Kind of bigger than me, not really that crazy or anything. I said, what's going on? So I get over there. When she brought me, I said, what's going on? The girls tell me the situation. And I turned to the brother and I said, bro, what's going on? He's like, yo, bro, I'm just trying to talk to the girls. And I said, bro, I hear you. Bro, you know, I'm trying to talk to other women over there, bro. In fact, I just left a girl because my sister's come over here to come and call me over to come over. See what I'm saying? I said to him, bro, look, I get it. Listen, we're all here. We're in Ghana. We're trying to have fun. You understand? But right now, the ladies are not having fun. And actually, you're kind of crowding their space, bro. Do you see what I'm saying to you? No beef, but I want to let you know they're not interested. You got to let this one slide, right? Now, in his belligerent, drunk kind of self, I can't remember what he said, but in the end, he calmed down. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So in that situation, my first thought is always about calming the person down before it escalates. Because once it escalates, anybody can die. Me, you, them, him, and anybody can get it. Do you see what I'm saying to you? my first protocol is to calm the person down. Because what happens is if you don't calm the person down and it escalates, now I do got to fight. And if I fight, I don't know what can happen. You don't know what can happen. You know what I'm saying to you? So I'm always thinking about the fact that you got to calm it down and you got to chill. You got to bring it down to that ground level. And be able to just be like, okay, let's try and bring this to a place. And if you're really invested in trying to calm people down, most time it does work because most people don't want to escalate. The escalation usually is because of embarrassment. It's because of shame. So I know, because I know how men often react, I'm not about to shame you in that moment. I know that by shaming you or embarrassing you, that's fighting words, right? Calling you a bitch, sorry for the language, calling you a hoe or trying to escalate it by saying certain things, it's going to get people riled up. Men don't need men. As soon as shame and embarrassment comes in, they are triggered. So as a man, I know that. And so I make sure I'm not about to embarrass you. I'm not about to shame you. I'm not about to make a mad scene of it. I'm just going to tell you, bro, listen, this ain't the one, bro. Like, they're not interested, bro. Like, leave it alone. Let's just chill, bro. Let's have a good time and enjoy ourselves. There are other women here. Look how many baddies there are. I said to the guy, look how many baddies there are. There's even one on the side. And you want to be here, bro? Come on, bro. Like, let's leave it alone. And he left it alone eventually, right? So, I remember, and then I said that's my final story, but I remember one situation, and I said to my friend this situation about what happened, right? There was a situation where my friend ordered food. And she ordered food, and the food came about 3 hours late. I swear to God, it was mad. I understand why she was vexed. The food came 3 hours late, and the guy didn't want to communicate, made excuses, doing all this stupid stuff, basically, right? 3 hours later, he arrives. He's on his bike. We're in Ghana. He's on his bike. He gets off the bike. I come down with her because I can see she's fuming. Yeah, and I trust me. So she's fuming. Now she's fuming. She's now talking to the dude. Okay, I'm standing beside her because I can see that it's a dude, and I don't want it to escalate because men can escalate things very quickly with any touch of a button. Okay, all right. So now in this situation, she is talking to the dude and she's getting annoyed. So now the slight insults happen, right? The slight insults happen. So now it's like in our language, one might say "wubadam," meaning you're a fool, you're stupid. Yeah, have you lost your mind? Right now, to Ghanaians, it's a very insulting thing to do. Okay, it's a very insulting thing to do when it gets at this, right? So when she says that, I look at her and I said, and then I see him. He's got vexed, and now he's coming. Right? He's now got closer to me. And he's now got close to her, sorry. So now, as soon as I see him walking, I get in front of her and I say, hey, chairman, Nabrote, please. Like, what that means, take it easy. Take it easy, please, bro. Take it easy. I see where you're going. Take it easy. I turned to her and I said, leave it alone now. I said to her, leave it alone. But she's still going. She's still angry. She's still vexed at him because he's also saying some dumb stuff. No one say dumb stuff, but he's not taking accountability. So now she's going at it, and I'm telling her, stop. Leave it alone. I will handle it. Leave it alone. She doesn't stop straight away. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So he's now still getting vexed. I'm still trying to have to maintain him, and I'm also trying to maintain her, because now if he decides he wants to go for it, you ain't going to win against him. Do you see what I'm saying to you? Right? So eventually I told her to move. I'll handle it. And I pulled him to the side. But then once he goes around, once I kind of move him to the side, he gets vexed. And I see a couple people start coming down and say, hey, Uncle Chairman, calm it down, right? Once we finally get upstairs, I talked to my friend. I said to her, you could have got me killed. I don't like that. Don't do that again. You don't realize that these men, yes, a lot of men have ego. Some men are petty. Some men are fragile with their ego. They need no little excuse to want to mess somebody up. You get what I'm saying to you, right? But when I told you to leave it alone and I can handle it, you should have let me do it. Right? You've got to let me do it. Right? Because as a man to man, yes, a man's going to think twice about what violence he's going to inflict on another man. He has to think, what can this other brother do? Right? So it's important at that point to make sure. I was like telling her, no, chill. Like, yo, like, I told her, listen, and I told you to stop going on about it. Let me handle it. Because you kept on going on, he then flared up. And then that put me in a situation where I had to now intervene on your behalf. That's dangerous. Because I don't know how he's going to react. Maybe he wants to fight. Maybe he's had one of those days, he don't mind what he's going to do today. And then you're going to be feeling guilty later on because you know that I've got into a fight because on your behalf. Can't blame him alone. You know what I'm saying? It takes two to tango. So I'm saying this to say, like, there are all different types of contexts or situations, but not everybody is willing to jump in. You know what I mean? Not everyone is willing to be able to want to intervene on those kind of situations. You know, so you have to be aware that just because I'm a man does not mean that I have that correct. Does not mean that every man wants to jump in and save somebody. You know what I mean? Now, to this situation that has the bricking situation, I want to reiterate the same point I made before. The fact that he bricked her is disgusting. I'm just going to say it straight, right? I cannot fathom how you can brick somebody, man or woman, if you're going to fight fair, right? If you're willing to fight fair, and I'm just going to just start from there. If you're going to fight fair, man or woman, why would a brick be the first thing you pick up? You know what I'm saying to you? Yeah? Why would that be the first thing that you pick up? A brick. Because you're trying to do damage. This is why I can't defend this guy. I don't care what was said. For you to want to pick up a brick, you're trying to do damage. You're literally trying to damage that person. Right? Because you know what a brick can do. This isn't you using your fist. This isn't you slapping them or even punching them. That would still be off the case as well. But the fact that you picked up a weapon, is where the disgust for me comes in even more. Because it's like, man or woman, that's some pussy stuff right there, bro. That's some pussy stuff. Right? Man didn't fight for less. Of course, you step on a man's shoes, he'll fight you. But he'll fight you. He's not bricking you. The fact that you picked up a brick, you're acting as if this woman was 10 men around you and you had to brick them. This was one woman. Now that tells me there's a deeper insight to that. There's a hatred there. That's different from even a man, you know, and we know some men, you know, some dangerous men out there that will hit women. We know that. But this one is different because you picked up a brick, you picked up a weapon. That is telling me there's some hatred there. You know what I'm saying to you? Right? That you would brick a woman in her head. Yeah. Now, of course, you're right. Some men really cannot take rejection. Okay? Some men really cannot take rejection. But there's a deeper insight to that, which is you, the person. Of course, you take rejection. You know, you've told no, whatever. But there's a deeper hatred there that aligns with the fact that you don't feel like she deserved to tell you no. That could also be true as well. Another round. We know how people, especially straight men, respond to transgender people as well. So that can also be there, right? You know, so in that moment, you picking up a brick, you know, to fight and it's not even to fight. Sorry, it's not even to fight. To smash somebody over the head with, who, let's be honest, you ain't. You men and women, we're not the same. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, we're not the same, right? So you doing that for me, there's no coming back from that. Now, my thing is this situation. My thing in the situation with the gentleman involved is that if even if she was a problem in the community, and depends what kind of problem we have here. I don't have enough backstory to know Wagwan, so I'm not sure 100% what's going on, right? But that person who's involved, that's assault. That is grievous bodily harm, GBH, we say in UK. That person needs to go to jail. To jail. Now, the men standing around, we talk about this bystander effect, which is like, people who and some people say it's been debunked. Some people say that it hasn't, whichever you want to call it as. And that basically what happens is that the more people that are standing watching a situation, the less that person is less inclined people are to help, because they spread the responsibility across around. Now, some people have said that particular thing has been debunked, and that there isn't no bystander effect. Either way, what I do know is, call it what you want, not everybody's going to get involved. Not everybody. Right? Not everybody. Not everybody who sees things are going to get involved. Because of fear, loss of life, and because, in all honesty, I don't know what time you got there. You don't know what happened beforehand. Sometimes, and of course, I don't know, of course, obviously, like, we don't know the full story. My thing also, too, some of the things, when you're in the ends as well, you see couple, and again, they're not a couple, so it's slightly different. When you see couples fighting, you get involved, and what happens? You get fucked up on their behalf. If you come from the hood or the ends, if you're a man, you've met one or two couples where you've gone and got involved, and they turn against you. You see that there's maybe even hit her, and you be like, bro, chill, and she'll tell you to fuck off. You be like, whoa, you know what I mean? So some people are not good with hearing anecdote stories where the person who gets involved gets hurt. They don't have that bravery or that courage, and they don't feel it's their purpose to get involved. They don't feel connected enough to want to get involved. Like I said, it takes a person to get to a space where you start to realize, hey, actually, I personally don't mind. I don't mind losing me. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying to you? Yeah. So, yeah, not all men will jump in, and I believe that not all women will probably jump in, right? But, it's tough. It's tough. You see it. You even see it with when a gang of boys gang up on one guy. You see one person maybe jumping, but you won't see many people jumping in. You see one person maybe say, "Guys, stop." You know what I mean? You see it. Not everyone likes to jump in those situations, because not everyone does well with those type of social situations where, your anxiety playing up, or, you feel like in that moment, like, what can I do? What can I add? I'm just going to be a paperweight. I'm not a fighter. I can't stop this situation. I'm just going to get in a, you know what I mean? So a lot of times people are not ready to defend because they're not in that space of mindset. I truly understand. And if you want to know, I know some people say, oh, everyone should jump in. Well, the funny thing is, the very thing about people even fighting, I see you, Samuel, behind there. I'll bring you on in a second. The very thing about fighting also is that, let's talk about if you want to talk about why people don't join in, let's talk about real life. Does everybody join in when the government is robbing you blind? Does everybody unify and get involved? Or do a few people get involved? When your church decides that they're going to rob you of your money and talk some wickedest talk, and they're lying to people, does everybody in the congregation gather up and say no? Or do a few people do it? Look, in any instance of life, it's never the majority, it's always a minority. It's never the majority. There's no such thing. It doesn't happen. The majority don't get involved until the majority are hard pressed. The minority of people who get involved normally are the one or two. And I'm saying that as a principle to say that not everybody will get involved. Like if you're a person who's saying here, I will get involved, you are a part of the people that would get involved. But you have to understand there are a majority of people, the majority of people will not do it. There are many sheep, not many shepherds. There are many of a congregation, but not many pastors. You have to understand there are not many leaders, but there are many followers. And so when you understand that, you start to have empathy and compassion that there are many weak people within our community that actually who won't get involved in this. Some of us have trauma. I have trauma. I don't like seeing people getting abused. I don't like seeing that. Whether it's financial, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, I don't want to think about it. I'll jump in and get involved. I'm not going to start fighting. I don't like to fight unless it has to, but I'll try to break it up. I'll try to stop it, etc., etc. You know, so I'm saying that if you're one of those people that will jump in and get involved, you are one of those people that are probably a leader when it comes to these things. You are part of the minority that will get involved. You think someone's making excuses. They're not making excuses. Some people just don't get involved. Some people don't. Some people don't. And I'm not making an excuse. This is not about excuses. Again, we have to be very, very clear. Explanation does not mean necessarily an excuse. It is a reality of life. Everyone's saying about they get involved. You don't get involved. Not everyone gets involved. That's what I'm saying to you. Look at it as life. In life, does everybody get involved in something when it's going wrong? They don't. They don't. When it comes to the general community, they don't. Now, maybe if it comes to their own personal, family, friend, they might jump in that respect. But for the general purpose of everybody around them, do you jump in every situation? You might do. Do you know why? Look around, because you are probably one of those leaders. You are called to be able to defend people. Don't put down everybody, because not everyone's like that. Not everyone's like that. And I'm just keeping it real. I don't want to pretend and be like it's like everyone's a pretend. No. Did everybody join Black Panthers at a time? No. Did everybody join the marches? No. Not everybody was willing to be bitten by a dog, beaten up by white people, insulted. Not everybody sat in. Okay. It took a minority of those people to do for the majority. Because had the majority done it, you could have overturned the government the next day. You could have had a coup d'etat. If everybody had the same mindset, we could have overturned the government a long time ago. The reality is it's never the majority, it's always the minority. What am I saying? I'm saying that, unfortunately, in these situations, the majority never get involved. Now, what was missing from the situation is that there wasn't one person. What was missing from the situation is there wasn't even one person. That is where I'm like, whoa. What happened? Why wasn't there even not one person? You know what I'm saying to you? Why wasn't there not even one person to like, yo, I personally can't see this and I'm going to get on? Because usually that's what usually happens. You normally have one person who gets involved. On this occasion, not one of them got involved. Throw the whole batch away. You know what I'm saying to you? Right? So I want to be very fair and say, obviously, that video about her slapping a man, I think it's a skit. All right. The video of her slapping the white man, I believe, is a skit. It is not a real thing, right? It's not a real thing. It's a skit. It wasn't a real thing where she slapped the white guy. So there's no excuse as to why these men stood around. I don't know if they interpreted it differently. I don't know if they saw it differently. I don't know if they thought it was real or whatever as to why their mindset was, why they didn't want to jump in. So I'm not sure. But that one guy that explained it, he explained it like she was a problem in the community. I don't know if that's true. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's true. And the thing about men is, if they feel like that woman is a problem, it lessens the reality of those men to want to jump in. I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying if they had that information where they feel like she's a problem in their community, If they feel she's a problem in their community, they're going to be like, why would I want to jump in? You know what I mean? Why would I want to jump in? Yeah. So, yeah. So again, I'm not giving them an excuse. I'm trying to reason as to why they didn't want to jump in and why they didn't want to get involved. You know, why did they not want to? Why did they not want to step in? Because just me insulting them doesn't solve the issue. There's a reason why, a root cause as to why they didn't do what they were supposed to do. Why didn't they, in that moment, step in and stand in? What was their ethos? What was their mind? What was their mind frame? Do they have a poor estimation of Black women? Do they have a poor estimate? Do they believe that Black women are more masculine than they need to be? Do they believe that the Black women are not so weak? How do they view that person? Because surely there's something that is a reason as to why they didn't jump in. And I'm trying to find out what that reason is. I don't agree with it. I don't think they should have done it. I'm more explaining why things happen and why they do what they do. You know what I mean? You know. And that's what I'm thinking, Eva, as well. I think they must have felt like she deserved it, and I'm wondering why they didn't get involved. What information they had to feel like she might have deserved it. Do you know what I'm saying to you, right? So, and whether she deserved it or not, it's not the issue. What we're discussing is whether those bystanders thought she deserved it, because it's influencing their decision making. It's not. I want to make it very clear. It's not about whether she deserved it or not. I don't believe she deserved that. There's no way anybody can say she deserved that. The force to what was happening makes no sense. What I'm saying is the bystanders, did they feel that way? And what information did they have that they felt that way? You know what I mean? I'm trying to understand why again. You know, what bad ideas do they have of Black women as well? So there's something in it. Do you know what I mean? As to why someone doesn't want to jump in. What's going through their head? Why they don't want to stand in? You know what I'm saying? That's true. Police Cooper said. That's true. And the thing is, socially, men tend to submit socially to other men, right? And they build social norms, right? So if you got, it's almost like having the gangs in your area. If everybody got up and decided that they're not going to have it anymore, they could eradicate the gangs, right? But they don't, because not everyone is willing to band together. Only a few people will be willing to do it. So those people potentially could end up losing their life for nothing because other people wouldn't join them. So it takes a level of courageousness and, like I said, a level of sacrifice to want to jump in, because you have to change the cultural norm, and you have. Sorry. Oh, Sam, where you gone, bro? Oh, sorry. Did I take too long? Oh, there he is. Okay, cool. Let me bring you on, because I've been talking for time. I need to talk about it. Yeah, broski.
You're right, bro.
What's goody, man? What's goody?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I also saw the video on Twitter that you were talking about, and I thought it was interesting, even listening to what you were saying. First of all, the skit that she did, in no relation. I don't agree with the skit because of what it shows. Mm-hmm. But moving on to the actual situation, like, first of all, nobody deserves to get a brick in the head like that. That's mad. First of all, that's mad. You can already see from the type of guy that assaulted her who he is, to even bring up a brick in the first place, to deal in his eyes, deal with a situation that is like, I don't call you a man at that point. I genuinely do not call you a man. For me, in first instance, it is weird for me that nobody around her helped. That's weird. Like, you see somebody get bricked. Now, I'm not expecting everyone to jump in, But when the guy goes away and you see the woman on the floor and she's getting bricks, like she got bricks, like come on now, at least try and call for an ambulance or something, like help her in the way that you could. Which in my mind I'm thinking, what is the reason why none of them helped? But I've seen some comments where they said that she's a known troublemaker. Maybe that's why it influenced this decision not to help. But even in that, for you to have a known troublemaker, right, it still doesn't negate the fact that you could have still helped her. Like that right now, it's confusing me right now. Like, but then you got the other side of it, and you got some women. And this is not all women, but you got some women that have these unrealistic expectations of what men should do in these situations. They genuinely think that we should be Batman and be the spirit of vengeance to try and get back at the guy that has done that. It doesn't work like that. And as you said before, with your experiences, I have my experiences. I grew up in North London, Edmonton. That place was used to we called Shanktown. Now, for people in England, you know what Shanktown that indicates. For Americans that might not know it, is we had a lot of stabbings, a lot of killings, especially in the 08, 013, what's it called, period. It was a madness at that what's it called? It was a madness at that time. I grew up with a lot of gang members. My cousins were gang members and stuff like that. And I could see what retaliation does in the grand scheme of things, how retaliation never ends. It generally never ends. Never ends. But again, just going back to the situation of it, for my whole gripe about it is that, all right, she might be a troublemaker. She might do skits that probably people don't agree with. She might have done all of this. But if I see somebody that has just been bricked, maybe I won't jump in because, like, first of all, you're a madman to even pick up a brick. But when you go and not to help her, at least, that is what's baffling me. That's what's baffling me.
That's a fair point. Thank you for that. Hey, Benz, go for it.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, baby.
Okay, awesome. So I'm from New York. I'm originally from New York, right? And like the mental crisis in New York is crazy. And so when it comes to men in general, not all men, of course, but like the kind of men like that would throw a brick in your face when you tell them you don't want to talk to them, it's more than you think, in a sense. And I just think what you said earlier about there's only one leader in a pack. So there probably was a leader there, but him not probably making the first move probably caused everybody else to say, well, if he's not going to do nothing, I won't either. So it is crazy. So I just wanted to put my little 2 cents in there, and I won't be able to stay long, but that's all I wanted to say.
I appreciate it. Just a quick question, obviously from your perspective, like, and just keeping it real, I don't know, have you ever experienced something of such nature, or seen something like that yourself in some aspects when it comes to a similar situation like this?
It is. So I went to the Beyonce concert here when I was in DC, and on August 6th, I won't forget this. I went to the gas station, right? And I was trying to get gas. And for some reason, I thought my gas pump was on the other side. I don't know why I thought that. So I had to like go around. So there was a pickup truck that then ended up blocking 2 of the gas pumps. He drove in after me. And so I honked my horn a little bit and was like, hey, can you move up? Thinking he would see me in the mirror. So he didn't see me. So then I was like, can you move up? And then he got out of his car. He was like, please, started yelling. I was like, okay, please. And then he got in his car. He moved up. So then I was able to get gas, right? So then he goes in the store and I'm pumping gas. He comes out and he was like, just yelling at me, yada, yada, yada. See, that's your problem. Yada, yada, yada. Just yelling at me. And I'm just looking at him like, okay. So then he's just like, yeah, pretty face. That's why you got fake boobs and a fake butt. Gets in his car, right? Get out of his car again. I'm still pumping gas. Starts yelling at me. He was like, if you was a man, I would drop you. And I was like, okay. So then I'm looking at the gas pump. I'm like, you know what? There are 3 other gas stations. Let me just, you know. So then he goes back in the store, comes back out, curses me out again. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then he's just like, yeah, I will drop you right now. Say something else. I'm going to drop you. I'm going to drop you. And there's like 2 other cars, people pumping their gas. And then there's like people in the car and things like that. And I'm like, wow. So he's like getting closer. But the only thing that I think prevented him from hitting me was the fact that I had gasoline in my hand. So if I didn't have the gasoline in my hand, I think he would have hit me in a sense. And it kind of like jittered me a little bit. Like, I'm a strong woman and I'm an independent woman, but I still know like what makes sense and stuff like that. So it really bothered me because I was like, dang. Like, of course, I'm by myself in a situation like this and nobody around trying to like calm it down or whatever. And I just like, whoa. So I really don't go out that often, but the fact that that did happen, it did bother me. So yeah, I experienced it on him.
Oh man, that's disgusting, man. Yeah, that is not it at all. And I've heard many stories about the gas station situation as well. So yeah, that is not it at all. Not at all. Thank you for sharing, A-Benz. I appreciate it. Felicia, go for it.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay. So I don't know. I didn't watch. I heard this buzz around, but I don't have all these social media platforms, so I didn't see the whole video of the woman. But I do often think that she may have been equally back and forth with this guy. But I think when we make that majority of Black women go back and forth with these men, I feel like we do a disservice when we do narratives. The majority of people do it and make excuses for people who are aggressors, because I think majority of women do have had an experience where a man has been aggressive and or done too much unprovoked. Like, I went to college parties back in my college days. Women won't even wearing bodycon dresses regularly. It's like small tops and maybe jeans. And I've had my belt loop ripped off for somebody trying to get my attention. First I had my back pants pocket ripped off. So I bought some jeans that had like no back pocket. And then somebody ripped my belt loop, the whole belt loop part of my belt. So my pants was hanging off. So I had to hold my pants the whole entire party until I left. And I'm not even a confrontational person. And you don't have to go back and forth with these gentlemen for them to just be aggressive. And a lot of times in these circumstances, people do be with their friends. Like, I don't know what this scenario is, but usually in New York places, men go to the store together. Like, it's not I'm just going. Now, sometimes they go by themselves, but usually they going with a homeboy to the store and we picking up stuff and we hanging out, because that's a hangout spot, usually at a bodega or something. And usually at a party, you're not the silo who can. I don't need somebody to go back and forth, because I don't even want to fight for somebody defending me. I would like to avoid that. But can your friend say, dude, you doing, because we have a rapport, homie, don't do her like that. Like, if you want to talk to her, talk to her. If she's not interested, keep it pushing. Because I think a lot of times these friends don't say anything. And if you got the aggressive friend, who either drink and get aggressive or just aggressive, period, can you stop bringing him places to be aggressive with people? And the same thing with females. If you got the irate female friend, leave her at home. Like, can we leave the aggressive people at home? Stop ruining everybody's fun.
No, I definitely hear that. And I think, I guess it's where, I mean, and this is me opening up the conversation even more now, where there's the subsection of men where they feel like sometimes we're all getting blamed for something, because those of us who believe, and again, when you're in your own worldview and you don't see other worldviews, number one, I want to say this first and foremost: this is not a Black only issue. I get tired when we say it's only Black only issue. They are suffering in the white community, the Asian community. People are getting honor killings. Let's not talk about that. Like, it happens in every community. So long as there are men in that community, there are always going to be men who believe they can take something because they're the stronger gender. It happens everywhere. Now, it might not necessarily be the gas station, but if someone's got honor killings, or for them, it might be the fact that, I don't know what white people you want to call it, but they have their own issues as well too that they do, right? So I don't want anyone to make it solely, oh, only black men do this. It's really not. Like, it's a man issue.
Yeah.
Because men believe they have, we have power because of the physical presence that we have and stuff. You want to say something?
I had an incident. Okay, so I work in healthcare and I lead some men, and then I am supervised by high level men. So I've had multiple interactions, especially with Caucasian men. And so when I was younger, I had an interaction with a guy. He was yelling because he was just mad that day, and there's a white guy. And he came because he was mad about whatever else on his side of the area. He came over and we had to interact and have a conversation about a patient. And he went like so ham, like went crazy ham. And I looked at him and I was like, and then I turned. But see, we had a rapport before, and he know I'm not confrontational. So he had to think about it. But it is like men just on when they get on aggressive mode, it just is on 1,000. And in my interaction at my job, everybody knows I'm not like confrontation is my last resort. I'm always like trying to peacemake and work things out and see the other person's side, even if they have an attitude. But when I work with males upper level, I don't do the confrontation and I cut it out. But we also in a work setting. And white men come with these confrontations to events, and white men white women are getting, white people drink on higher rates at these parties, especially college parties, and be mad aggressive to their women, and these gang rapes and fraternity drunkenness and going out, and they get at a sports event and they get rowdy and drunk and they pushing on women and pulling off their clothes. Like, yes, white men do it too, for sure. It's like it's starting to be, it's getting unsafe, and you got to like pray before you leave, even when you're not confrontational. I just pray. I try to go to environments where, you know, usually the 30 up crowd is a little less foolishness, but I pray. And it's sad because I feel like I should be able to go out, wear what I want. I mean, I'm not walking like a streetwalker, but if I want to be moderately sexy, I should be with a bunch of grown people and not be worried if I'm gonna make it home the next day. Like, my friends and family are actually, sometimes when women go out, just like when we worry about the police, a lot of times when women go out, they're worried about you not making it home from this party or this event. And it's sad. It shouldn't be like that. We should be able to just have fun.
I appreciate it. I was only, go for it, Sam. Go for it.
No, speak to Kojo, because
no, I was going to say quickly, the only reason why I mentioned about it not being a black only problem is because I wanted to make it very clear that sometimes what happens, the narrative becomes black men are this. And I'm like, you can divest all you want. You're going to see the same things on the other side. There is no difference because you're dealing with men. And so long as there are men involved, men are always going to do what men do. Do you understand? Whether they're white, black, Asian, Latino, whatever, they have the exact same issues all around. So what I was making very clear is that, because sometimes what happens, the conversation becomes, it's only black men that have this. Stop the only, because it's not only. Right? That's what I was trying to change. I was like, stop saying only black men, because it's not only black men. Only, like, we have that conversation, only black men talk about money. No. They do that in every community. Red pill didn't start in the black community, it started in the white community. So I'm making it very, very clear. I'm not saying that we don't discuss black issues. I'm not saying we can't mention that black people are involved. I'm saying strip the only from saying that what you're talking about. It's just me talking in general. Like, it's not only black people going through this. They are on the domestic violence happens in every community. So it's not only this. As well. So yeah, just wanted to put that there. Go for it, Sam. And
yeah, you have to like be careful with the rhetoric that you put towards it, because you're in that community yourself. You're seeing mostly around it, so it might be heightened to you because you're in that community. You're not seeing the other communities and what they're dealing with. I remember when I was at university, and this was in Portsmouth. This is mostly white. Not like London, where it's like very multicultural. And I was speaking to a few of my course mates, and they were speaking about the same thing. And this was an Asian girl. I think she was from Japan, and there was this white girl that was from Ireland. And they were speaking to me about the same things that they deal with. Obviously, I'm not really part of the community, so I couldn't really speak on it, but I was just listening to them. Second of all, when you're looking at it, like, this whole thing is a men problem. It's men. It's what we do. And I remember this sentence where and I said I could not disagree with this. It says men are sensitive as well. 100% we are. 100% we are. And it's the not being able to handle rejection, or not being able to just walk away from certain things. We are very emotional, and we act out in a lot of them act out in violence is the problem. Now what Felicia said about like not bringing guys to like functions or anything of people that you know that are going to be aggressive when they have a little bit I fully agree with that. If I talk about my experiences, the guys that I see that if they move to, and this is not even them actually physically assaulting someone, but if they are moving to a girl and the girl rejects them and they walk away and they start calling her names, I was like, oh, you're dead, you're ugly. Like, I already look at you funny, because how can you say that when you're the you literally just moved her a second ago? That doesn't make sense. Just take the L and just leave. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm already looking at you funny. If you're overly aggressive, I don't associate with that. And funny enough, I've actually seen people around me that have been overly aggressive, and then the way that you come to them, this is the most important thing. The way that you come to them, you have to come to them in a very calming manner, saying, bro, it's not worth it. They will listen to that a little bit more than somebody that's coming to them trying to rough them up, saying, oh, what, like, are you trying to defend her? Or the most famous line of all with what men are trying to do, are you trying to simp for the woman? Which is a line that men are afraid of, because they're not trying to seem like they're simping for somebody that they're trying to help, a woman that they're trying to help. So you have to come to them in a way that is very calming and just say, no, it's not worth it. So just walk away from it. And I have seen that it's worked out a lot. Maybe sometimes it hasn't worked out, because when you get to a guy that's aggressive and a guy that's actually going to attack a woman, you have to realize all rules go out the window. All rules go out the window at that point, because of the way the guy's feeling. For you to even raise up your hands against a woman, for me, all rules go out the window. So you already can see this guy's a madman. Whether the situation, now you don't know the situation prior, whether the situation before he feels like he's valid or something like that, you're already going up against a madman. So the way that you have to move is very cautious of what's going on. Do you get what I'm saying? But anyways, going back to my point, literally, what's it called? It's not a black issue. It's a man issue. I've heard from other communities that this happens to them. So like, if we just look at it like that, we'll get a better understanding.
Appreciate that. Just to reset the room, obviously we're talking about the latest video that went viral with a young lady who unfortunately was bricked by an I don't want to say a man, but it was a man, a black man, or someone said even African, because they want to separate the two now, who bricked this man in the face, bricked this woman in the face, sorry, and got away. And none of the men actually intervened on this situation. So we're having a conversation. If you've watched the video, by all means, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Keep it cute, keep it classy in the chat. We're not here to kill anybody. We're here to have educated conversations. So my moderators are in the chat. So if you do act a bit wild, they will mute you or they will block you.
Sorry,
yeah.
I think somebody misquoted what I said. Haitian princess, this is what I was talking about is before the guy tries to do anything to the woman, not when the guy has done something. I'm saying, I'm coming to the situation, I'm assessing the situation, I'm seeing that he's getting a little bit aggravated, it's going to get political. I'm coming to him saying, bro, before you do anything, it's not worth it. Then try and escalate the situation before anything other than physical assault happens. But sorry about that.
Yeah, that's right. Go for it, T-Way.
Hey y'all, I won't really be on here long because I'm supposed to be working, but I think this is a good combo. I watched the video, I seen everything, and I just think this is kind of like a human issue right now. with the bystander effect. It's even worse in big cities like Houston, where this happened. New York has the bystander effect really, really bad. People are crazy, like super crazy. And I agree with what Samuel said. By the time that you hit somebody with a man hitting a woman with a brick, like whatever type of, like back in the day when people be able to like say, hey dude, don't do that. A person who hit a woman with a brick is not going to listen to that. So what I would say is, yes, I wish men would intervene, but unless you're going to shoot that dude down, which I would have no problem with after you hit somebody with a brick, I'm not sure what the men there really should have done except for call the police, because I don't think most women would want their brothers and dad to intervene in 2023 with what's going on nowadays. I think it's horrible. I think the mental health issue is horrible. I think men's regard for women is just at an all-time low. The fact that this is what's going on right now is an all-time low. But with how crazy people are, literally saying that men should have intervened is basically saying that they should have put their life on the line for this woman. Now, there's plenty of people who agree with that, right? And that's fine. But that's basically what you're saying. You're saying that this man should have put his life on the line for that lady who got hit with the brick, and I think that's what we're pretty much saying nowadays, because people have no type of rules, no type of decorum, no nothing. So do I wish in Houston, Texas, of all places, somebody was armed and could have defended that lady and completely taken away the threat? That would have been a great situation. But expecting men who I'm guessing were unarmed, I don't know what their situation was, to go up there and try to fight this man with a brick, I don't know. But I think it's a sad conversation all the way around, that's kind of like where we are. But I don't think, and like the last caller was saying before, that women antagonize these situations. Yeah, there are women that do run their mouth, but a lot of women are just being harassed nowadays. Completely harassed. I would say most women aren't asking for this. They aren't begging for this at all. And that's why you have to just walk away. Even if I've encountered crazy women who are crazy, road rage, upset. You just have to walk away. I think a lot of times, and I'm not saying this woman could have walked away. I don't know what her situation was, but a lot of times it's not even worth it saying anything to anybody, man or woman, because people are nuts, So that's just kind of like a separate thing. I personally don't argue with strangers for this very reason, because a lot of these people have nothing to lose. So, but I do think it's unfortunate, and anybody justifying that girl being hit with a brick seriously has some serious issues that they need to work through, because whatever she said did not justify what happened. But as we're talking to expecting men to jump to the rescue and play Superman in 2023, I think we need to be realistic. That's just not going to happen unless they're willing to basically shoot about it and they have to go to court and defend why their force that they took was justified, was necessary. And a lot of times people don't want to do that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Just to cut you, what Seaway said was brilliant in the aftermath of it, because people don't realize that. Let's just say I've now taken action, and this is a guy with a brick. You have to understand, this is a guy with a brick. So if it's a guy with a brick, I might have to come with a chair or like a weapon or something to like de-escalate the situation or just beat him down. So now after the police is called, the police is now in the vicinity. I'm getting questioned. I'm getting arrested for maybe strong use of force or something. It's all long, and a lot of people don't realize how much in that situation you can be thinking of a million things of what can happen. Because first of all, you're seeing the instant shock. Somebody just got bricked. That's the shock in itself. And a woman got bricked. Then you're thinking, oh, what's going to happen next if I intervene? What's going to happen if I don't intervene? Like, there's a million things that you that will be running through your mind, because that is a traumatic experience. But so what Seaway said was brilliant.
Listen, I think it goes back to that you know, and I think people make some valid points as well in the chat as well. You know, we're hearing a lot of conversation about men are protectors and men are providers. We've had a lot of that conversation on the internet. I want to make it very clear again. The very people that are on these podcasts who are saying all these stuff, half of them would not intervene because a lot of them are not alphas. That's why they're on a podcast spitting out nonsense, and usually it ends up in them attacking women. They're not the type to jump in front of and defend a woman. So the reality of the situation goes back to my original point, which I said before. Number one, not everyone's a king. Number two, most people are followers, not leaders. So it takes someone with a level of courageousness to want to jump in without thinking about their own life. And that's why I said that a lot of these podcasts are from actual beta males. And the reason why it spreads so quick is because the others are betas. That's the reason why they can't think without having a group think. See, something about for us as for human beings in general, but I'm talking about for the men in this generation, we have, you know, I see some of the men as like, you know, when you see, how do I call it, like cells, right? You know how your science, they talk about cells, right? Like the wave of energy passes on from each cell to each cell, and a lot of men on these podcasts that talk about, you know, giving, talking about provision and providing and talk in a way that usually isn't nuanced and usually speaks to how they're going to oppress women. They usually are not the type of people who are going to be courageous and jump in people's faces. The people that usually are going to jump in people's faces don't talk. That's the point. People who are usually, and you know, our TV can lie to us, our Marvel shows can lie to you. People who have got superpowers, of course you're going to jump in. If you know you can box somebody, and let me, has anybody watched the show The Boys? I don't know if anyone's ever watched the show The Boys on Amazon Prime.
Watched a little bit. I watched a bit of it.
Okay. So the main character, who is like, he's almost like Superman, right? Why doesn't every superhero just gang up on him and beat him up?
Because he's the strongest superhero in that world.
Exactly. It doesn't work like that. You don't, even if everybody had the same, it requires everybody to actually have the same thought to say, we're going to join together and we're going to take him out. But it doesn't work like that because human beings are socialistic creatures. So you know, in the show The Boys, one of the guys, a black guy, he was like the fastest runner or whatever, right? And unfortunately, when he came up against, unfortunately, the white guy that was the strongest, whatever, went and spoke to him. And every time the show, I think people should watch it as an understanding of what happens in power dynamics. The way the guy, I get scared. I'm not even in the show, but I get scared for the character. Like because he's crazy. He's willing to do something. Like you never know what he's going to do. And I think that encapsulates what I'm saying about in sometimes when it comes to these dynamics, that it takes someone willing to die, because whenever someone goes to fight him, they are willing to die. They don't mind dying. So if you've got that mindset, not everyone has that. That's why I said a lot of these guys on podcasts talking about protection and provision, unless they're willing to die. And that's why I said to you guys about having love, that if someone loves you, are they willing to die? Because if you're not, I'm telling you now, you'll get in these situations, you throw your girl in front of the situation, right? You know what I mean? So I'm saying about how it can be very scary for people.
Is it just me or I can't hear Kojo?
My thing went off. It's okay. My thing went off. But I just saying that it's scary. That's what I'm saying. It's a scary. That's it. Go for it, C-Way. You want to say something? Oh, I thought you were going to say something, C-Way. My bad.
No, I was going to say, I agree with your point of the Homelander. That's his name, Homelander's point. Because if you actually look at the show, the reason why Homelander is so scary is because, first of all, he's the most powerful superhero in that universe. And second of all, he's so unhinged. You don't know what he's going to do at all. You do not know what he's going to do. And he has so much power in the sense of his perception towards the public in that show, that he can manipulate things in his favor. So he will have people on his side that if you try to go against him, not only can he overpower you with his strength and his powers, but he can overpower you in his position in that show. So it goes to the point where it's kind of like, for you to actually protect someone, you in that situation, I'm talking about somebody that has a brick in their hand. This is a madman that has a brick in their hand. You have to be in that position to think, all right, do you know what? I'm gonna, if anything happens, I'm gonna be in the hospital or I'm dead. I'm gonna take that risk. Usually, a man would not take that risk unless it's their own family member or somebody that they love, or a friend that's around them. Now, with the guys that were around, I don't know if all the guys knew each other. Because if all the guys knew each other, then I'm not gonna lie, it would have been that's very confusing to me. But let's just say it's individual people. They don't know each other. What men do is that in those situations, we always used to say this in school when I was back in primary school, and secondary school. So, and Kojo, you will know this. Or who's gonna set pace? Who's gonna set pace?
You set pace. Ahead of a time, bro.
And we always, and it's kind of, and the term means that he's gonna start. He's the one that's gonna stand up and actually make the first move. And if it will be easier for somebody in a group of friends to do that, because first of all, you got your friends backing. So if 5 guys of friendship, you got one guy with a brick, it will be more likely that the guys will step in. But if you got 5 individual guys that do not know each other, that have the different mindsets, you're just gonna have guys looking at each other thinking, "Oh, I'm not gonna start something. I'd rather just leave it." And then you just have nobody do anything. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's the mindset of men. We are very individualistic, but at times we are socially what's it called, engraved with each other, where we know there's strength in numbers. So if we don't think that we have the backing of other people, we're not going to usually act. It's only the guys that are actual leaders or guys who do not care that they can step out with themselves, that will actually go out by themselves, know that they don't have no backing, and actually help the woman there.
I definitely hear that. Go for Felicia, yeah.
I do think that men need to really sit with themselves and think about not their stranger protection and provision. I'm talking about the actually family member protection and provision, because everybody say they are protector and provider until the moment happens. Like, that's a mute point until you actually present it with the challenge. Because I tell a story, which I think is hilarious. I thought it was hilarious then. When I was like 16 or 17, my mom had bought me, my dad, and my little brother press box seats for like a street ball competition in one of our arenas. And 2 of the players from opposite teams got in an argument. So they canceled before the first quarter, the game, because of them, because they didn't want the aggression between them. So they ended. So the crowd, mind you, we're sitting in the press box, so we are right on the floor with the players. And they start throwing bottles, food. When I say I had heels on everything, trying to be cute. My dad was gone like Usain Bolt. He just left me.
He's out.
Yes, he covered me with anything. So I was like, I'm not relying on anybody. Like, you got to prove to me that you're doing all this. And then not that I'm starting fights but I'm not relying on this random protection and provision because you said it. Now, I think my dad, like, if I was in front of a moving vehicle or something, I think he would act, because I'm one of his favorites. He would push me out the way and save me. But that confrontation with other humans, I think for some reason people will save you from an imminent threat that's not human, as opposed to a human anytime. I think it's a very interesting thought process, because no doubt about, if I think I was in some kind of thing and I was in front of something, he wouldn't push me and risk his life in that way. But like, I don't see my dad going, unless he really thought that somebody was going to take me out, having this tete-a-tete with no other man. And he's afraid of heights. And when I was like 5, I went behind my sister and my cousins and did some little thing where you climb on stuff, and I got scared because I'm scared of heights too, and I was stuck up there frozen. He went and he gonna supervise my safety. He went and got the man that was running the rides to come and save me. He's not doing this extra stuff. And I know he loves me. I'm like, there's no doubt about, do I think my dad loves me and would risk his life in 1,000 ways for me, but that ain't it. he got limitations.
And look, and you know, and that's why I said that, you know, I think one of the craziest things, you grow into that aspect of duty and that courage as well, you know. And sometimes it's, you know, a lot of it oftentimes comes, you're reared or you are bred in a particular way, you know what I mean? Like you are you know, you are brought up a particular way how to behave. Do you know what I'm saying to you? You know, and again, it comes down to your nature versus nurture. You know, I think for me personally, like I said, you weigh up the situation about how best can you solve an issue and what solution you can bring to the table. So let me tell you, I mean, and this is one thing that really opened my eyes up, and I didn't realize it until maybe I was later on in my life. Is a couple of years ago, we had a water fight. I don't know if I've ever told a story, but a couple of years ago, we had a water fight at a retreat. And I watched myself and how I operated. I don't do front attacks. I waited in the trees. I was in the bush. I'm a sniper. I like to snipe. But you got to know what works for you. Because some people like to go face to face, toe to toe. I'm not a toe to toe person. I like to calm things down, like to mediate, try to calm it down. That's my way of calming a situation down. Now, of course, if a bullet comes flying, you just got to jump in front of it. That's completely different. But when it comes to human beings, people have different ways of getting to that situation. And I think what the trouble is with some men is they don't have a solution in that moment. Now, it's easy to just say jump in front of it, but they're probably thinking, I'm going to jump in there, I'm going to get pummeled. I don't have a plan. You understand what I'm saying to you? Right? In my head, it's never getting to a fight. That's how I think about things. In my head, it's never getting to a fight. I'm going to solve the issue. So I don't mind jumping in because in my head, it's always solvable. Now, it probably isn't always solvable. You get what I'm saying to you, right? But that is what inspires my confidence, number one. Number two, also, my life is not my own. I've given it to Jesus. So, sure, if I die, I die. I'm going to heaven. You get what I'm saying to you, right? So, as a man, you have to have something that ties you to give you some confidence to want to get involved in a situation like that. You know what I mean? Like, you have to think about this, right? People can say, okay, let's say, and again, I'm not saying that those men weren't cowards because someone could have jumped in, right? I'm saying that I'm saying that I'm also trying to understand and try to figure, or at least try to figure out why, because someone not jumping into a situation, they got family, they got kids, they're probably thinking about their own family, their own kids, and not thinking about jumping in. And so that may be a consideration as to why that person doesn't do what it's supposed to do. But like I said, it's you know, not everyone has that way of doing things. I remember we had a thing back in the day about would you fight for man? I remember I had some kind of scenario I put to people about would you fight for man or whatever. And I was like, well, listen, you got to find a way of getting out of that situation. I'm not really trying to fight for man. It don't look good, but let's find a way of getting out of the situation. You know what I mean? Let's, you know what I mean? I'm going to try my best. Now, if it comes down to fighting last minute, then I'm going to fight. But I think it's, like I said, everyone has to have their way of trying to solve an issue. And if you're not confident in your solution that you can bring to a table to change that narrative, I think you get scared because you have nothing to offer to that offer. You're like, I'm just going to be an extra body in the way. You know what I mean? I think that's how some men are thinking about it. If I was to put it that particular way, you know what I mean?
And on the point of what you said, let's just talk about the water fight that you had years ago. I also remember I was on a retreat, and I was in a water fight. We had a water fight between my fellow guys. I'm the type of guy that I'm a retaliator, so I'm not gonna do anything first because I'm not gonna start the trouble, but I'm gonna wait for someone to do something to me. Then I'm gonna go at you. And I will keep on going at you, keep on going you until you regret that you did something to me first. Do you get what I'm saying? Now, in that, I see now that was all fun and games. So that war fight was all fun and games. But in that, I saw in my life that because I was a retaliator, how much trouble it caused me because you got someone that like me who's petty, and then you got another person that is petty as well. So you're just in constant war with each other, and then it ends up going to fights. I've been in I remember I've never really been in a street fight, but I remember I was like 3 years ago I was in a fight, and at that point I walked away from the situation because some people broke it up, and I remember coming back home and I explained to my mum and dad like what happened, and my mum, like, my dad spoke to me about it and said, Samuel, don't go out and retaliate and try and find the guy, stuff like that. And I was hearing it because at that time, I gave my life to Christ. So the whole story behind it is a very long story. But I gave my life to Christ, and I said, you know, if I retaliate to this guy, it's not going to end. It's just not going to end. But when my mum the next morning saw my face, because my face was bruised up, it brought tears to her eyes, and that hit me. Do you get what I'm saying? That hit me. And sometimes if a guy doesn't, let's just say that the example of going in and protecting a woman, and he gets pummeled. Does he have kids at home that he's going to go back to with the scars and the bruises on his face, or does he have a wife that he has to go back to where he has to get what's it called? She has to see him in hospital. Like, those are the effects that it's not only on you, it's the people around you that see this and are affected by this. So it's not just one singular thing. It is also a community thing as well. It's a family thing. Do you get what I'm saying? And the guys that, and especially that guy who picks up a grip towards a woman, in my mind, it's like, you have nothing to lose. you just have nothing to lose. All rules go out the window. Like, you're a madman. So I'm coming in, and if I'm protecting, and what personally my nature will actually try to come in and calm down the situation with words. That's what I've learned to do over the years. But if I'm coming in and I'm thinking this is a madman, he can come and swing a brick at me. I'm knocked out. I'm in hospital. My sisters, my mum and dad, whoever loves me, are coming and seeing this. What's it called? The damage that's been done to me. So it's not one singular thing. It's a community thing as well.
And I think that's a key point, right? So if we're talking about solutions wise, the narrative of what community actually entails has to change. But it's hard to do that because everybody's so out for themselves in this community, right? But the idea of community, because if you look at our past, your community would be your village. We don't have villages anymore. Like, so the idea of a man saving his household, it's not foreign, right? If a man sees his wife, he's going to jump in. I believe that most men will jump in, save their wife, right? Because that's his village. The problem is that our village has got smaller. Our village used to be your family and then the people that were in that village. Then it became about you defending your village from other villages. The problem is our village is no longer the village. Our village is our home. Now it means that I'm not going to take up the community because my community is my home. Do you know what I'm saying to you? The idea of community has shifted. It's about making sure that you protect you and your immediate family rather than trying to fight the whole of the community, whole of the world. So it becomes tough at that point because the idea of community has shifted, or village has shifted, because men have always wanted to protect, or some men anyway, always want to protect and provide the coverage, but they did it for their villages or their tribe. You're not going to do that when your village and your tribe is just your home. So he's done his job. In his head, he's done his job. It's almost like watching another village and going, I'm going to fight on your behalf. Why would I do that? That's your village. As for me, if I don't get involved, they won't come in. If I go and get involved now, I might have to fight and then fight for my village. So the idea of village has shifted, and that's where we need to change the mindset in terms of why. Because men will fight for their village, their immediate home. They ain't fighting for everybody else though, like we used to, because our village has shifted and changed. The idea of what a village is has changed. You know what I mean? Or community has changed in that aspect. Yes, Felicia.
Well, I do think in some aspects that, okay, we talk about face-to-face threats, but a lot of times is attacks on women and on social media and in YouTube spaces, and it's not everybody with the narrative that it's always a provoked attack. And it's sometimes men are not even defending but they will defend some foolishness on keyboard on the keyboard that makes absolutely no sense, and that most other men don't agree with, but will be typing away. So if you can't get defense behind the keyboard, they're not gonna defend you out on the streets. Like, some stuff is egregious both ways. Just like I don't go co-signing women who go say a whole bunch of egregious stuff against men. And it's a lot of times where women sometimes they'll trash men, and then women will come forward to it. But I just feel like it's starting to be super unsafe everywhere, in all type of spaces, on the street and on these public platforms, because when you make excuses to demonize people with nefarious behavior, when you say, because you dress like that, you deserve this, because you post like that, you deserve this, because you say that, you deserve this, it does not highlight the person's personal behavior. Yes, people have responsibility to go out, but what I do and where, if I'm not intentionally being aggressive towards you, I never should deserve the aggression, no matter what you can say, the excuse of why someone bothered upon me. The aggressive person is the person that's wrong. And people wait until somebody shoot and kill somebody, and then that's when they start pointing the fingers like, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Because no matter what she did and what she said, if she didn't put her hands, because I don't agree with these women putting their hands on these men, especially when they haven't put their hands on them. If she didn't put her hands on that man, he had no business picking up a brick. Like, he had no business. We should not be having these fisticuffs when one person is throwing the white flag when it comes to violence. Like, it's just crazy.
But even Felicia, even in the point where even if she hits him, I don't believe any man should be bricking up a brick. You can handle that.
Well, I agree with that, but even like, it should, yes, I feel like even if no man should be putting their hands on anybody. No woman, people should not be putting their hands on people.
Facts.
But somebody has to initiate a confrontation. But at some point, like, my point is people defending the fact that he hit her with a brick. Not now, we can defend all day if he should have cussed her out and called her all type of bees, but he hit her with a brick. It's not like they up there both on the beat it with flip knives like this Michael Jackson. Why is somebody picking up a brick and hitting somebody who is not touching them? Like, to go from 0 to 100 is crazy. And Ben sitting there, you ain't had to go back and forth, but nobody was like, wait. Where was the wait? You might want to think about this, bruh. You don't want to go jail. Ain't even worth it. She ain't even worth all that. Like, I need a little bit of that energy at least.
Christina, go for it. Sorry, go for it.
Sure. I think it's also bad for just the Black community, just in general, in the eyes of the other communities, because it just shows how our communities is just the lowest of the lowest, because basic principle, basic things like that, we debate. And I think while we're out there having a gender war between men and women, we don't understand how just the only fact that there are men out there just justifying that this action show how we cannot, like, we all the same Black Lives Matter, and we're justifying a man taking a brick and hating a woman just because she didn't want to give the number. It doesn't even make sense. Like, the Black Lives Matter doesn't mean anything if we don't even matter between each others.
I agree with that 100%. And that's why we talk about the why here, so people can understand, because I understand the craziness behind it. And I'll be honest with you, is it a Black thing? Listen, if Black people are on top, I think it'll be a white person's problem. The reality of the situation, a lot of times, it's to do with our race, our ethnicity, yes, but oftentimes too, it's economical, right? When you're at the bottom and you've been trounced at the bottom for so long, these are some of the issues that tend to keep coming up because you're at the bottom. And I always say this as well, if you go on your phone, if you just even, because what happens, and the reason why I was saying earlier on about not only being a Black issue, right, is that we talk, for instance, you just said about Black Lives Matter, right? And that was a good example. we also don't realize as well the conditioning that happens through media. For instance, we see the situation, we go, only black men are hitting black women. You're mad. It's not. But you won't see it because we don't get programmed that way. You don't go on the news and see all the things that happen in other communities, but you'll see everything you do in your community. Why is that? Right? Why is it every time that when something happens within our community, it blows up? But yet, I can get Samuel can give me can agree with me. I'm in the UK, right? Do you know how many fights I've seen between white people? Do you know how many fights I've seen between white man and white woman? I've seen it more than I've seen it between black woman and black man. But what gets publicized is when we decide to do something. So what happens is we have, and we're fighting several fronts. I'm not ignoring the situation, by the way, and I'm not demeaning the situation or making it less than it actually is. It's horrific what's happened here. I'm not saying that we should take it away. What I'm saying is I don't want it to make it like it's a black man, and I keep saying it. It's not a black man issue. It's a man issue. Because in other communities, if you even go, and that's what I said, like, divest into another community, you'll realize white men, they do the exact same thing. And I'm just making that point very clear, so that because I saw some things in the comment section. It's not against anybody who said anything here per se, but I saw something in the comment section. Just want to make it clear again, so that we have a conversation. The issue we have to solve is man is himself. As a man, we have issues. This is a man issue. We are messing up. But okay, again, specifically within our community, yes, then we talk about black men and some of the things we're facing. But it gets highlighted more because we're in a white patriarchal society, white supremacist society, and some of those things get highlighted even more. But then also within that, we have to look at the reasons why these things happen, because also as well, economically, you're at the bottom of the food chain. And when you're at the bottom of the food chain, there are certain behaviors that are very different to when you're at the top of the food chain. When you're trying to survive, it's very different to those who are thriving at the very top, quote unquote. Doesn't mean everyone's thriving. There are white people who are also surviving too. But if we just talk about systematically or talk about in terms of the general populace, you know what I mean? But but you it's the same. You made a right point, Christine, as well. There is literally I cannot give an inch to say this behavior is acceptable at all. For me, it's disgusting. It's heinous. It's evil. I cannot see how taking a brick can equate to you being rude to me or saying anything or even trying to get at me. I cannot equate. I just in my head, it's not fathomable. You know what I mean? That would happen. But go for it, Christina. I think you want to say something else, Christina. Go for it.
But for me, the reason why I put so much emphasis in the Black matter thing is more about we're reinforcing, like you said, we already know that we are the bad guy in the in the media. It's really rare that we're highlighting the good way. So those type of things, that when it happens and it just reinforced, and we're just proving to the other community outside that we are really what they're trying to show. Because I don't even it's not that I don't care of the guy that used the brick, but it's also the fact that other men saw it and they didn't do anything. And that really hurt me more than anything else, because as a woman, you always put in a situation that you're scared. And now it's like just that. And I always told my friend, like, I literally, like, you have to give your number or give a fake number or like download the app to give your number, because you don't want those things to happen. And some people like, oh no, you're tripping, you're taking it too far. But when it happens and you see that no one is actually doing something to protect you, you really have to ask yourself, do we really have any value in the eyes of even to anyone?
No, that's true. That's a good point. I think also, just talking about the situation, I think what's very difficult, and because I'm thinking about solutions wise as well, what becomes very difficult is for a lot of men, like, okay, let's say me and Samuel, just want to specifically, so it makes it very easy to understand, right? Like when women are saying, like, black men specifically, let's keep it specific because we're talking about black men. Let's say when they say, oh, black men, they do X, Y, and Z, right? The difficulty for a lot of men who are supposed to help is that we don't see those other men, right? Because naturally, birds of a flock together. So, for instance, let's say me and Sam, if we are, for instance, like, you're on our channel right now, right? If you follow my content, you're less likely to engage in some of the really crappy content that's out there, because you tend to want to follow the very things that make sense to you. Do you know what I mean? You like education, you like smart
Yes.
conversations, you like deep conversations. So then it becomes harder to actually then be in alignment with other things you're hearing, because you always are drawn to this. So as men, sometimes and it's not an excuse, it's more of a reasoning. Sometimes it's very difficult to understand where women are coming from, because I'm like, I don't see those men. Like, I don't roll with them. I'm not in their circles. And the only way to influence them is to be in their circles. And I'm not in their circles. I can't be in their circles because I don't agree with what they do. And what men tend to do is, if they don't agree with you, they go their own way. They're not influenced easily to be like, yeah, you must follow what I do. So the only way I can see a solution here is actually not taking it from the top. It's taking it from the bottom. This has to be solved as kids, educational wise. You know what I mean? Like this has to be solved as from a young standpoint, in terms of what information are we going to pass on to young kids. It's the same thing with sexual violence. The whole point is about actually educating young children, young boys, before they get to the age where they become rigid. Because once they become rigid, they get to a point where they are seeing life through the lens that they've seen it, which works for them. Because men will tend to try and work through survival. And if it survives and it works, I'm going to stick to it. I'm not going to change it. Right. So, and I'm sure women can say, they probably say the same thing. That's fine. I'm just saying, for us as men. So for us as men, this can't be changed at the men level. It has to be changed at the boy level, because at the boy level, that's where he's able to be imprinted upon and able to be changed. So this actually has to be something that has to be something that has to be put into education, right? Because a lot of these issues we're having are happening because people are not educated in these areas, and that ignorance allows one to access the power that they have and utilize it in a particular way. So I think this, if I'm talking about solution wise, I can do all the videos I want. In reality, most men are not going to try and jump in and listen to it unless there's a war. Maybe I can do more debates, more warfare, right? It's going to be messy before it gets good.
Yes, that's true.
Do you get what I'm saying to you? Like, if you really want to get men onto a space, I'm going to have to do what you lot see on, what's the channel? I forgot their channel now. The American one, and I forgot what their name is. That Anton Daniels was on before. I'm going to have to do a fight club, because that's where men are. And let me tell you something. I've been there. And let me tell you something. Sometimes education, intelligence does not rule. Stupidity rules. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying about how difficult it is to change narratives when it comes to men, because I'm telling you, you can be educated with all the stats all you want. I go into these spaces, I start talking, and let me tell you something. A lot of these people will overrule you with stupidity. They don't care if you're right. They only care that you hear their voice. They're not going to change. And right. So the difficulty of changing men is that once they get rigid, it's very hard to change them. We have to do this on a level where it's where we get them early. Someone said the people level. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, we have to get them early. They have to be educated in this, in how to be a citizen. And it might sound silly, but how to be a citizen, how to behave, how to respect others. What is your duty as a citizen? Sam, you know this, and I'll let you talk on this. Actually,
yeah.
We used to have a course in school, innit, right, where you do what was it, citizenship. You have to do citizenship, and then you have to do a test, and they will test you every week to say what's the behaviors you should be doing. Now, I wish they were a bit more hands-on with that, because they left you with a sheet and told you to fill it in, and you ain't gonna learn nothing that way, because I'm just gonna choose whatever I'm gonna choose. Yeah. But it need that education part is what's needed in that aspect as well. Go for it, Sam, and then I'll let ladies jump in.
I totally agree with you that for me also there's two things to it. So the education part with at a lower level, let's just say primary school and secondary school. Sorry, I'm saying this in UK terms. I forgot. Is it elementary school in America or sorry, I'm not really educated in that. But
elementary,
middle school. Yeah, that's it. So at the time, so when it came to us, especially in my schools, we had this general rule that we don't put our hands on girls. Now, and it was so mad that even if a girl even starts the altercation and hits the guy, if the guy hits back, a whole bunch of boys are going to come and get the guy and beat him up, because of the fact that you're not supposed to hit a girl. You're not supposed to hit a girl. You're not supposed to hit a girl. So you see a lot of girls get away with things, but that was the mentality. But also, I'm gonna bring in another element to this, especially where I've grown up. Violence was normalized. Is normalized. So as I said, where I'm from, a lot of other people from London called my Edmonton called it Shanktown. So when every time like somebody got stabbed and it was on the news or something, it got to a point where it was like, oh yeah, that's another day in Edmonton. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you see a madness happening outside in Edmonton, what's it called? It's kind of like, oh, that's normal. But even in that, if you see a man beating up a girl, even in that space, boom, you will see the men trying to do something to stop that. So in different elements, and this is why it doesn't make sense to me that you can see something like that, a woman getting bricked like that, and do completely nothing. That's madness to me, because where I've come from, even if the woman started it or the woman is being rowdy or this, that, there is a certain level of like morality that you will step in at least to try and help the situation and protect the woman. And this, as Kojo mentioned, starts from when we were young. As I said, if a girl hits a boy in what's it called, in school, and then he hits her back, it will be the guy that will be getting rushed. It will be the guy that's getting beaten up, because you're not supposed to hit a girl.
And do you know what's so funny? So just before I let Ludwig go, do you know what's so interesting about this is that there are cultural norms that have to be taken into account. This is why I said about education from a young age is important, right? Because in our school, it's a free for all. Between the ages of 11 and 16, it was a bloody free for all. A bloody free for all, because anything can happen. If you boy or girl, they will fight. So it's funny that you have a different situation. Ours was not like that. Ours was a free for all, right? And because a lot of us came from deprived areas, right? So it's interesting that you had that perspective, because our perspective was try somebody and you can get rocked, boy or girl.
100%.
I saw so many fights between boy and girls. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and the conversation would then be as well at the same time, like, why are you going to fight a boy?
There we go.
You know what I'm saying? Why are you argue all you want to argue, but why are you fighting a boy? Like, why are you throwing a slap or cussing his mum? You know that's gonna set man off. That's how we used to in our area, right? And then also because the women were just as dangerous as the men. They weren't dangerous in fighting you. They were dangerous because their brothers were there.
Yeah.
So we had a whole, you know what I'm saying, whole different scenario now. You know what I'm saying, where the things are happening. But this is why I'm saying about the education part is so important, because you have to be able to. You have to get them young to change their mindset on how they're going to behave when they get older. Many of us already have a warped mindset when it comes to women. And if we're going to have a real conversation, we have to have a real conversation in terms of how we see women, right? Because in some aspects, growing up, you have a mindset that is, sure, a woman is not as strong as you. Then she should also know not to get into your face, or she should know that she shouldn't be talking reckless to you, because if the man don't talk reckless, it's a bang.
Yeah.
And that's some of the things that we were seeing in our community. So that's what I'm saying about the educational piece, because culture is going to dictate that if you don't educate that. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Like, if I'm coming from the ends, and if you talk reckless, you get banged, boy or girl. Just know that I'm going to take that when I get older, and I'm not going to. It's going to be very hard for the majority to change, because they're not being educated in a different way. And that's what I'm saying about changing that. Go for it, bro.
Just quickly, because I know other people want to speak, but this is where I totally agree with you, Kojo, because there was a comment that was put up. I think it was Ken Uber Veal. He said, that must be the older generation, Samuel. Boys nowadays fight girls for not giving their phone numbers. And you know what's so mad? I totally agree with it, because I'm seeing this on social media, and it's what they are being fed into. And I've been in spaces, and remember the lockdown when Clubhouse was prevalent in the
my days, yeah.
And I was having so many conversations with guys that will say, we're in 2021, we're in this, that. Sorry, a girl should be, a woman should not be putting their hands, and rightly so, they should not be putting their hands on a man if a woman puts her hands on a man, I'm sorry, I see you as a man, so I'm going to deal with you as a man. You had having these conversations, and then you had this all around social media of you seeing a boy punching a girl because the girl is moving mouthy to him and stuff, and under the comments you're seeing, oh, well done, she deserved this, that, encouraging on, and I'm thinking to myself, what happened to just not putting the hands on anybody, but like what happened to like actually young boys, actually learning from a young age, don't put your hands on a woman. Where the dads teaching these boys not to do that? Do you get what I'm saying? Because my dad taught me never to do that. That's where I got my influence from. The boys around, even the older guys around me, that even were in gangs, that were in church, we knew not to put our hands on women. So I'm seeing the younger guys now, young boys, they move reckless, they move like they're fearless, and they it's like if they put their hands on a girl, it empowers them. When did we get into that? When did we get into that? Which is shocking towards me.
And my final point before I let ladies go in, and I'll tell you where it comes from. It comes from broken homes. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It comes from broken homes, and broken homes doesn't necessarily mean even just a dad not being there or a mum not being there. It comes from a broken ideology of what family actually is, because the core reality is having a sturdy family creates great principles that those children will live by, and this is my experience. So this could be different for other people. This is my experience. Growing up in the ends where I grew up, in the ends or hood, if you want to call it, but the ends where I grew up, right? You had a lot of people that had fathers either missing. In fact, let me be real with you. I'm not even gonna lie to you. The school I went to, I would say in my year alone, I could probably count on my hand how many people had their fathers in their life. That's mad, right? So, and the class was about the class was about 200 people in a year. So now we've got to a place, right? We've got to a place where we're seeing the actual repercussions of not having fathers in the home. I'm not blaming women for this. I'm not blaming the government for this. I'm just saying this is the reality of what we're facing right now, right? Fathers not being in the home creates generational ripple effects that have been going on for the last 3 or 4 decades, right? Us being attacked and not being in our homes and not being part of our families. Because beforehand, what was happening is we had a common enemy. The common enemy was a white man. We don't have that common enemy anymore. The white man isn't present as your common enemy. And that doesn't mean he's not the enemy anymore. The system is still there, but he's not your common enemy because he's not physically killing you the same way. And by all means, again, I'm not trying to downplay anybody who has passed away due to violence from white folk. But what I'm saying is that present fear is no longer there. And oftentimes that was what was unifying people. When you get to a place where you're no longer in survival mode and you have the choice to choose, you start to realize what people are really wanting to choose.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're no longer forced to stay under something. What we're now seeing is repercussions of those choices that people have made. And we're in a space now where we need to have more men we need to have more men in more prominent positions who get to tell stories. Let me give you an example, right? Just this month, I saw, was it Denzel Washington? I saw Omar Epps, it might have been, or someone else, one of those, I think one of the brothers or whatever. And there's another person, Lionel Messi, and I know he's not black, but there was another black guy I'm trying to think of, right? And they were talking about how long they had, Morris Chestnut, and there's another black guy who had been married for about 30 years, 20 to 30 years. And I asked this question, why the frick did I not know that till now? If I don't have that, right? If I don't have that, the story being told is completely different. And so what happens is I'm not inspired. If I'm not inspired and I cannot see the something to achieve, it shortens my ability to want to achieve that very thing. I don't even know if I can achieve it. I'm not giving an excuse, but I'm just giving a reasoning as to some of the things that are happening to us as men, right? So having the family unit intact is so important, because you and I can both say it, Sam. Having a father who goes, look, hey, do X, do Y, do Z. That don't happen in my household. You can't do that. Yeah, you can do that. No, you can't do this. This is really important. Right? Once you remove that out the place, I'm so sorry, men are born in a place of privilege. Once that boy, usually what happens is, even if he grows up with a single mother, unless that single mother has a lot more masculine energy, he looks at a woman like, you can't tell me nothing. That's why by the time of 13, 14, he starts rebelling. Because who are you?
It's true.
We don't, because how men see things as authority, we see other men as authority. Because again, physically, if I'm going to war, you can handle me. So when you remove the father figure out the home, when the father removes himself from the home, when he's out here, and this is why I don't like men being in the streets and sleeping. And when I say sleeping, having multiple children in different homes, like I see Nick Cannon doing, and other people who are not even Nick Cannon are doing, it infuriates me because it's pretending as if you're not contributing towards the culture that we have right now. We need more black men who are going to look after their children because they actually begin to install one, emotional regulation, helping that child to understand you are a boy going into a man. Here are the things that you need to learn. Here are the things you have to understand. This is what we do and this is what we don't do. Right? As a man, this is what you're supposed to do. These are the instructions I'm going to give you. Like when I grew up, my dad was telling me, listen, life is hard as a man. I'm going to say that straight. You better get used to it and you better get into it because there's going to be nobody here to save you. Quicken your step. As a man, that's what you have to have, right? So Master Plays even kind of says something that's great. So it's like you want to get to that place where we need to see more of that happening in our community, because even if you didn't have it in your home, just seeing a positive role model makes such a difference to a lot of young boys. And this is why I said about education from a young boy is it's so much more critical, because men tend to curate the culture and tend to guard the culture.
Yeah.
It's more, that's why I said fathers in men's lives and boys' lives are even more important than women. I'm just going to say, I love you women, but I think it's even more important because we lead the culture and we lead the society. So yeah, I just want to, but okay, you know what I mean? I'm sure Ludwin wants to say, go for it, Ludwin. Tell us something.
Hey everyone, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can, baby.
All right. So first thing first, I love that shirt on you, Kojo. You're looking mighty good.
You want my wallet? Here it is.
Yay. We love a black king that know how to dress. I love it. Another thing, before I go with my statements, was there a video that showed that she hit him?
No. There was no video that showed that she hit him.
The video of her hitting a white man, but it was a skit. I think it was a skit.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so I have 2 points on this. Number one, I believe the fact that a lot of the men that were surrounding that didn't help in that situation, it is because men don't do anything unless it benefits them. And we can use the Pavlov's theory of behavior, is the fact that like people need a particular stimuli for them to react in a certain way. So if he's watching this man shooting his shot and it's not working out, it's not in his best interest to go help either, because she might turn him down as well. So he doesn't see the point to come in and insert himself, which is terrible at the same time, because once you see someone is in danger, that should invoke that feeling of protection in a man. However, it, like you were saying earlier, Kojo, when it comes to that community or that village, if that person is not in close relationship to that man, they may not even evoke that emotion in that man as well, because he doesn't see how does that benefit him in the long run. Yes, the idea of the repercussions of possibly going to jail, possibly, but that woman could have died. Like, if it hit her in the right temple, she would have died instantly. And then you all would have been feeling bad that you didn't do anything. So it's the idea of shoulda, coulda, woulda, but somebody's life was in danger. And the fact that we need more women to realize that this is a man's innate nature. They are either violent or not caring about you. And it's very, there's a very small percentage of men, like quote unquote Kojo, who can actually care about a woman's safety and also protection. And sadly, this is not a race issue or ethnicity issue. This is particularly in all men. And granted, we have content creators who try to tell us to level up or divest into other ethnicities, but reality is this can happen in any particular man. It does not matter. Like their innate nature is to respond in a violent nature. They may not realize it, but one one small trigger can bring the violence out of any man. Even as nice as you think it is, even that show Snap, people would never think how they go from one to a whole different person within a matter of seconds. Snapping happens instantly and you like, oh my God. But it's that instant reaction in that person, like, okay, so this is a fight or flight situation. So it's either I'm going to get involved or I'm not. In that moment that you saw that you are in a lion's den, me personally, I'm not going to be around anywhere where there's like 15 men around and it's only one me. That is a dangerous zone for any woman to be in, is to be in a room or in a situation where there's only you as the female with female reproductive parts, to be specific, to be around other males. And we have to be extremely careful. We need to go in pairs. Actually, we need to go back when women go somewhere in pairs where we're not alone all the time, because we cannot differentiate who is going to be the nice person or the protector or the violent one. We may never know which one is which. So we cannot just willingly just go out and think that all men are the same. We always have to be in our P's and Q's. So my second point is one of the reasons why, okay, as I grew and I start talking to women in their 40s and their 50s, and I can't remember how the late Kevin Samuels kept saying, oh, we're going to end up alone and single and stuff like that if we don't get a man by a certain time and stuff like that. But the more I speak to older women, the more I realize like they are actually happy alone in their late 50s without a man, because it takes so much work to deal with what men bring to the table and how much we have to cater to certain egos to not evoke that violence in them. And there are women who went through different marriages where they never thought in their whole life that a man would put their hands on them. And the day it happened, like, oh my God. And they get divorced and they don't want to deal with it because they've been through so much trauma with men. And I can see that side of why they are fearful for certain men out here, because we don't know when and why or how it triggers that violence in a man. And sometimes some women don't want to take the chance, and I don't blame them at all. Thank you.
I can't be mad at that response at all. I definitely hear you. Definitely hear you on that. I think
But
also. Oh yeah, go. You want to say go for Christina?
no, I was just saying that I think it's just it's. I'm not even gonna say it's only men. Men and women don't do anything else when it doesn't benefit them. So I'm not gonna put that on the men only, because most women also between each other we're not the nicest anyway. So I will say that it's in the human. It may be in the human nature and not just the men. But I agree with her when she said that I wouldn't be in a room also with 15 guys. I'm myself, because I don't know, for some reason I'm uncomfortable. I'll just be uncomfortable as well.
And I understand that, and it makes sense to be in that situation, to be that way, to be precautious about that, because even for men, Listen, when I'm rolling through, let's say, quote unquote, if I'm in the street and I see a bunch of men, I'm very, I there's certain behaviors I start to elicit. I remember the hood training that I had, and you know what I mean? Like I change how I walk, I change my head, how I hold my head. I make sure that how I'm moving. I make sure if they say something I'm like, yeah, cool, bedroom. I say it very strongly to let them know. I start putting on certain things because I know that psychologically, how as men as that these kind of guys, how they think, they're always looking for a weakness. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that necessarily. And the fact that as a woman, naturally, there's a vulnerability there because of the strength difference between man and woman, right? But yeah, no, and I understand. Totally understand that in terms of being in a room along with other men. I think that's a fair point to make, and I don't think I don't think we as men can have any qualms or any kind of argument against that. Again, once more, I think this is a key conversation in terms of, like I said, going back to why I believe that education is the key thing. Education in psychology, and I think a lot more has to be done from a lower grade perspective in terms of counseling or even group sessions, because a lot of times what we're talking about is having great power comes with great responsibility. That's Spider-Man quote, right? And with that great power, men that are sensitive and emotionally unregulated are the most dangerous people on the planet. They're the ones that are unhinged. It's similar to what's my Homelander. Homelander's issue is once his emotions get tapped into, if he feels you're disrespecting him, if he feels that he's hurt by you, if he feels that he goes off on the one. And that's what I'm seeing that as men we need to do, where we need to do the work is in the emotional regulational aspect, because you are the stronger sex. You need to actually learn how to be emotionally regulated, because the power that you have can destroy. And so that's absolutely important. These men are emotional creatures who are refusing to acknowledge that they're emotional. It's very, very similar to how I feel about the gunplay situation with his wife, Von Shea. I was just pissed off. I was like, how are you going to take a gun to your own missus and your child? That tells me you're tapped in the head. That's madness. But it all stems from the difference between men and women is the power that a man has. And so that's the only difference. If a man is unregulated because of his physical strength, he's able to create so much more destruction. And so we actually have to do the work from way before then. We need to be, I personally think a solution that can only work for me is that we need to get into schools. We need to be getting into education. And also we need to bring back we used to have what we used to call the community house. What's it? Community. What do you used to call it? Oh, what do you used to call it? We used to call it something. But we after school, you go to this community place, you play pool, you play games. Now, don't get twisted. People get into fights there as well. People were getting hurt. But you go,
youth clubs.
Yeah, youth clubs. That's it. Thank you. I don't know why the name was slipping me, bro. We had youth clubs. We had things that people would do after school and stuff like that. That there were mentors that were sometimes there, older men there too. You know what I mean? Like who were able to kind of teach and kind of informally, not like on a major, just informally. We don't have none of that now. None of that. This is why even in UK we had recently, and I'm sure we see the same in America, people are running to Oxford Street and robbing the store. And I'm like, what the frick? Where's the sense gone? You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, the very men at the very top are abused. And this is why I said that it becomes systematic, because the very men at my county, I'm in Birmingham, by the way, the area I'm in, the council has just said, the council that runs the area that I'm in, Birmingham, have said they've gone bankrupt. I said, how can you go bankrupt? People are paying their taxes towards you. You raise the taxes every year. How are you bankrupt? Because other men, using the power that they have, are misaligning funds and using it however they want to use it, right? And then what happens is we can't then fund things like community youth projects and stuff like that, things that actually generally do help but don't look like they actually help. Because on a surface thing, it's like, oh, it's a youth club. What's the big deal where they don't have a youth club anymore? The big deal is that is time spent that young boys have around other young men and actually start to build character. We don't have that no more. So what are you left with? You're left with your TV, media, and being out in them streets. And that never, you know, that never brings anything as well. You know what I mean? So it's just, yeah, we definitely, for us as men, we need to go back to the grassroots and start teaching from there, because we're a problem right now. Specifically talking about us as Black people. I know it's a man thing, but specifically in general. Any other thoughts for guys before we jump off?
No, literally, it does have to start when you're young. Like, the education needs to come. Again, as I totally agree with you. Fathers need to be there, in the children's life, and be actually present there, not absent. Be present in their children's life, to instill morals and values that will go with them throughout life. My example, my dad doing that for me. I know there's certain things that I can't do, there's certain things that I can do. As a man, there's a lot of responsibility that you have to carry out, and the community in itself will be as affected by the man's decisions. And you can see with bad decisions how the community is, with good decisions how it could be. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah, it does start when you're young, and having fathers that are present.
Felicia?
I don't have anything else to say.
That's okay. What I would say as a final thought is, and I remember I was thinking about this as I was going to the gym like a few weeks ago. Not every man is a king. And not every man can be a king, right? But any man that is a king has a duty to help influence and to steer the direction of the kingdom that he rules. And when I say kingdom, it means the people that you're able to influence, the people that are quote unquote subjects to you, right? They subject themselves to you. And that's why I have a big issue with things like Fresh and Fit. Samuel, when I had a big issue with Mr. Kevin Samuels and stuff like that, because these men had become kings. They had now kingdoms, whether I agree with them or not. They had now kingdoms, and so unfortunately, their rhetoric had now infected their whole subject and their whole team, their whole domain. And those people go out with those particular thoughts. We're in a dangerous generation now where information is at a flick of a button. And it's so funny, and I'll do some videos on it, because the game is the same always, right? Let me give you just a quick example. For instance, things like Manosphere, Red Pill, all those things. Yes, it was about men's rights, but it was about money. The likes of Andrew Tate have renounced Red Pill and Manosphere. Why? Because the money no longer flows in that direction. Money oftentimes rules a lot of people's decision making, especially men. And so the good that people need to do has to be outside of what it is financially. It has to be something that you believe in, that you actually want to see. And it's something that you have a genuine why as to why you want to help people. And so for me personally, I'll try my best to keep putting on my side of things. I'm not naive to say that I'm alone. There are other people out there. The Bible talks about how Elijah at one point thought he was alone, and he wasn't. There were 7,000 other people God had reserved. There were other men, there were other kings who are also standing up and who are trying to influence a culture in a particular way. Here's the reality. The Bible says that the love of man will wax cold. So long as man's love waxes cold, more of this stuff is going to happen. And the weakest link is always going to be women, because they are more vulnerable than men. So, and to round it and finish off on this point, it's interesting because in Sodom and Gomorrah, a bunch of men at the end surrounded the house where Lot was in. Men are the beginning and the end. If we're going to solve an issue, we have to deal with men, or quote unquote, deal with the boys, right? Because we actually influence the culture. We actually shape the culture. So we are culpable and we are responsible. What we just saw there in that particular instance is a part of that responsibility, that if we don't start changing the way that people talk and the way they move and what they accept and what they believe to be okay as behavior, and we don't call it out, we leave people to struggle and to hear sugary words that benefit their bad behavior to continue doing bad things in the community. You know what I mean? And I believe that as much as I see the manosphere and red pill, that they're so heavy on shaming women on certain subjects, this is where we should be shaming men, I believe. Personally, this is disgusting and despicable and actually evil and heinous for a man to pick up a brick and brick a woman. Like, for me, like, there has been no excuse for that. There is no getting around it. He deserves jail time. And I'm very disappointed in the men that were around who couldn't, at least one. That's all he needed, just one to be like, yo, this is madness, stop. You know? Yeah. You know, so very, very disappointing as well. All right, guys, I'm gonna jump off here. But I appreciate everybody here who has joined the conversation. It's been good, it's been great, it's been pleasurable. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. We'll be back tonight, I believe, at, is it 8 p.m. EST? No, 7 p.m. EST. We've got an hour live. I've got a members live at 7 p.m. EST. And then we've got a live. What was a live? Our open live. Yes, our ARCs. You guys wanted to do some like ARCs Kojo stuff, so ARCs dating questions, quote unquote. So we'll do that like we did last 2 weeks ago. So I'll do that again. So yeah, we've got a packed weekend tonight, and we're going. So we can pack week today. So we're going to put on a lot of different videos as well. So much appreciation, guys. Stay locked and stay loaded. And we look forward to having more discussions. Thank you for those of you who participated and who actually wanted to engage in discourse. It's a pleasure. And I know some of you were fighting in that chat, boy, and I appreciate the fact that you guys kept it respectful. Much love, much appreciation.